Hey, Zach, it's Sean.
Hey, what's up?
Not a lot. Did you notice I already sent you 2 of them?
Yep, I was just getting into my Facebook, and it was wanting me to sign back in, and it gave me the option to sign in as Rhea, but it wants me to verify that it's me, so I'm just making sure I can do that before I push send, because I'd be curious what she's up to.
All right.
Because the shit I've seen on her phone while taking her away is not for real. And I know her mom does not watch her ass like I used to.
Well, I am, once you get logged in, you'll notice that both of those were made in the last 2 weeks. There's some that are in foreign languages. I could find them if I could set up my computer, but I can't exactly do that in a busted vehicle in a Walmart parking lot.
I should be able to auto-translate with using Google Chrome.
Well, what I sent you is literally YouTube videos made just in the last 2 weeks by other people on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I got a couple of those already.
Well, what I'm telling you is that there are literally hundreds of them, and I'm sending you, it's been 6 years. I sent you 2 of them just from the last 2 weeks. I mean, I'm sure you can do the math.
You know that some people do that just to create hype on their page. They see a video, edit it a little bit, and just want to try to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, but here's the thing, is that it has resulted in abuse against me. That's the thing about needing somebody in person, is that I am still abused.
What you can do is contact YouTube and get it taken off. And Google's pretty strict about that stuff, actually. So
see, you're jumping to conclusions. You're jumping to conclusions. You should watch the videos first.
Yeah.
There's also the stuff from the Dual County Sheriff and the stuff that he's been doing. Well, my therapist calls it, it's not paranoia. She calls it hypervigilance. The way she explained it to me is that the way that I describe paranoia and also the way that I describe justifiable paranoia is different. And that's one topic that we touched on. Like, a lot of the stuff that people were trying to pretend was situational, and she's aware that it's situational. And boy, I should probably send you the conversations with her as well. I mean, once.
I'm not trying to be nosy or anything.
Oh, you're good. I put it on YouTube. It's not like I hide it. I put it live on YouTube.
I even push you if it's something you don't want to share.
Here's the thing, Zach. I'm willing to share about men raping me, so there is absolutely nothing that I'm not willing to share. The only things that I don't share.
But if you don't ask.
There's safety issues with Dallas, so I make sure that I don't. I make sure as best I can to try to keep Dallas safe and to try to keep the kids safe. But it's not just Dallas's kids I have to worry about. It's also my own sister, my own niece. I mean, that's the thing, you know. A lot of the stuff that Dallas has told me, the fact that he doesn't speak out about it really bugs me. And with most people, when they tell me stuff like that and they don't speak out, I just simply don't believe them. Now, Dallas has stuck with me through all of this, so I want to believe him, and I know his situation. I understand his depression. So, you know, in my personal opinion, he was being honest about that. But if he wasn't being honest about it, like, I had to make decisions.
I doubt Dallas would not be honest about something with you.
Well, see, that's exactly the point. When he told me about Scott DaCosta and what Scott DaCosta had done with him, and, you know, that's not okay. And the first time that he told me, you know, he told me it as if, you know, Scott DaCosta had come over there and intimidated the living shit out of him. And then the third time that I spoke with him about it, he tried to make it seem a little more lax, like it wasn't a big major thing, like it wasn't, you know?
Yeah,
and
sorry, Sean, I was making Dallas shit.
Oh, you're allowed. Shit, I don't hide stuff from Dallas either.
That hypervigilant, I can understand that. I take a lot of sedatives at times.
Hypervigilant
like
means
said,
you're always
being
on
able-
alert.
Yeah, I know. That's why, I can read people so well. And the only reason for that, which I look at as a gift, is because of hypervigilance, like the way you're stating it.
The thing
is a form of paranoia too.
No, it's not. No, it's
it
not.
On,
and that's the thing about.
Look it up dictionary wise.
Well, you can look it up dictionary wise. That's the reason that
Facebook, right?
That's the reason that my therapist wanted to make sure that we understood the distinction, is because when you use the term paranoid, people are automatically going to jump to the conclusion of schizophrenia, because people say all the time paranoid schizophrenia. The two words very commonly go together, especially when somebody is trying to discredit you. You're right, they shouldn't.
Because you can be paranoid.
But instead of us arguing the sentiments about how it should be, that's the point, is that everybody that I talk to, they want to, right? But see, here's the thing about that, is that as far as the hypervigilance goes, let me explain it to you how she explained it to me. She explained it to me that when you use the term paranoid, basically what you're doing is it makes people think that you're crazy. You can be paranoid without being crazy, but the way that they write it down so that people don't just jump to the conclusion of crazy is by typing hypervigilant. If you've been raped every time you go downtown and you're hypervigilant every time you go downtown, hypervigilant is a lot different than, in a lot of people's minds, than paranoia. Because see, there's the dictionary definition that we all should be looking up. There's what it says in the DSM-5.
It kind of sounds like a new age thing, though.
Here's the thing.
You're trying to take, like, changing bipolar to manic depressive and then back again.
That's not what we're doing. That's absolutely not what we're doing. That's the thing, is that people want to argue the sentiments and they're missing out on the facts. I know how it's supposed to be.
I'm paranoid.
Right.
I'll admit, I'm paranoid. That's what I call it, and that's what I consider myself. I'm a paranoid person.
Right. And see, that's the thing, is that it is still paranoia. I mean, you are technically right about that, but you also have to understand that the terminology used changes it. Like, if somebody is mentally disabled...
when you add the schizophrenic after it, that's when it really fucks shit up.
Right. And with people just assuming instead of looking at the facts, like you haven't had enough interaction with me or enough interaction with any of these scenarios. Even back in the day, you didn't have enough to know if I was schizophrenic or not. See, my mom back in high school, not while I was there. Like, pretty much the only time, I never remember seeing you or any of your siblings at the house. I do remember your mom being there with the church group.
When in the trailer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you hung out there quite a bit with us. And I mean, you drew mine and Jenny's first anniversary present. Jenny's first anniversary present to me. It was the black and white, and then the colored picture of us. It was a portrait from high school.
Yep.
Paper anniversary. And Nikki even remembers that still.
Yeah, people didn't really like me till they realized I could draw, and I didn't learn how to draw till I moved to Chapel. But all right, so over at Jamie's, for example, that would have been about the only time that we hung out, except when we were hanging out with Brandon. And when we were hanging out, Brandon Jeffson.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So here's the thing. When I hung out with you and Jenny, it was always with Brandon Jeffson, and there was usually a Beardsley around.
Yeah.
So the thing with the Beardsleys is that the Beardsleys, they had this game going on with me and Brandon. It started off with a game called Ninja Tag north of the school there. And then after that, it was me and Brandon were, what do you call that? We were civilian anti-terrorist team, and we played that on the Beardsley boys for, I think they fell for it for about 2 or 3 years, actually. So, anytime that I was hanging out with you and Jenny when I was younger, it was basically with Brandon Jepson. Like, other than that, I was scared to hang out with any of y'all because I didn't really know you. I knew you sort of from church, and I knew who your mom was, you know.
Well, I'm sorry you knew that.
Well,
like, lots of people want to know that.
Your mom is not much different from my mom.
Yeah, I've met your mom and went to a couple of those meetings, unfortunately.
Yep. But, like, the thing with my mom is that she's quote-unquote mentally ill, okay? She's got diagnoses up the ass. But whenever she's losing an argument, she always pulls the, well, you're mentally ill. You're mentally... No. That don't fix it.
So it doesn't help. It doesn't mean you're not being logical.
When I say, all right, for example, one of the things that they tried pretending that I was schizophrenic for saying is that after Natalie died, there were 94,000 views on just one of my videos.
Yeah, but who knows how many people watched that 100 times?
But that doesn't matter. The fact is, hold up, see, now you're arguing sentiments again. I said there were 94,000 views. Whether somebody watched it one time or 100 times, if they viewed it 100 times, they viewed it 100 times. The fact is there were 94,000 views on that one video alone. But I was denied access to that video because I was incarcerated. So when I was trying to tell them what was going on, basically, I don't have access to any of the evidence to show them. Now, there were a couple of people there who did look it up and were surprised that I was telling the truth, and they immediately called a meeting together. And, you know, the therapist that I had there, because what Scott DaCosta did, he called up all of these different places and told them that I was schizophrenic. None of them listened to me because he told them I was schizophrenic. They did what he wanted. They literally locked me up on 8 different occasions for trying to turn in Scott DaCosta and his deputies because they didn't want to do their jobs. It is a felony for Natalie Bollinger and her friends to do what they did for an entire year before Natalie was killed. And it's also felonious for them to do any of the things that they did after she was killed. But nobody wanted to do anything. Sheriff Scott DaCosta wouldn't do anything about the repeated assaults against me. And that's the problem, you know. I was forced to go to Scott DaCosta repeatedly after 2018. And the fact is, I was trying to turn him in 2018 because they sent me to Scotts Bluff for trying to turn in his deputies. I was trying to turn in his deputies because they didn't do their jobs. And by his own admission, they didn't do their jobs. Now, you get to also see on my paperwork that he intentionally misled every single situation. He went out of his way to omit information and to omit evidence and to slander my name. All of the people, literally all the people that I was trying to turn in, all worked together to have me locked up. I was in prison, and they had to drop the charges. All they could find to charge me with were misdemeanors. And even then, they had to drop the charges because they were all lies. My paperwork even says that they lost all of the evidence. They didn't lose it, they destroyed evidence. I was trying to turn them in to Nebraska State Patrol. Nebraska State Patrol was supposed to come and see me and take a look at my evidence, but the safety situation with the Dual County Sheriff's Department and with Robert Warnick made it so that that wasn't possible. There's also the fact that...
Unfortunately, like from a legal standpoint, unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about a corrupt cop. You would have to find some type of paperwork hidden somewhere.
No, you're wrong. It doesn't have to be hidden. They did this blatantly. I have the paperwork. That's what I'm telling you, Zach. I have it.
I'm saying that they did do all. I'm agreeing completely. Just for the sake of argument, that I'm agreeing with you completely. If you don't have any evidence to be able to produce in court,
I
unfortunately,
do.
There's not much they can do with that.
What I'm telling you is that I do have the evidence. Nobody's looking at it. Nobody cares. My predators, see, the people who watch those things that I just sent you, the people who watch those things are not very nice. Now, one of them, it was only set up 2 weeks ago. There's only 100 views on it. It's not nothing major. The other one has, like 200,000 subscribers and thousands of views right now. But There's also ones with 3.5 million subscribers, 3.2 million subscribers. I mean, that is a lot of coverage. And they're all selling the same lies.
Are you looking at the channel subscribers, or are you looking at views on that?
I'm looking at the channel subscribers.
But just because there's that many...
I'm aware of that. You're going to tell me a bunch of stuff like I'm retarded. I need you to understand I'm intelligent. I know there's a difference. I know that there's a big difference between... I know there's a big difference between the...
look at it from a legal standpoint here.
And that's the thing with...
You would be able to stand on in court.
And
I think the fastest way to get a trial started, and that other stuff can come out then as evidence, because they would have to produce that they didn't do it, burden proof,
but
is on you going against them.
While you're busy trying to break it down, I'm trying to fill you in on as much information as possible. If you could stop and listen for a few. I know you want to break it down, but the evidence that you're going to see is going to change your mind. So just keep that in mind. The sentiments thing, we can argue that at a later date. The thing is that the cops repeatedly refused to do anything about repeated assaults, threats, and intimidation against me. They also took part in the threats and intimidation against me. There are many witnesses that I have recorded. I have them recorded on my YouTube. I have them recorded in Facebook Messenger. I have them recorded all over the place. I have over 10,000 screenshots, and I have hundreds of conversations with witnesses that show that I was telling the truth from the start. And that's the thing. I need people to actually look at the evidence instead of telling me what their assumptions are based on not looking at it. When it comes to my videos where I'm venting, as you call it, I'm not venting. I'm fighting hard to get help. When I speak nicely to people, they don't listen to me. They talk over me or start telling me about their own personal problems. And next thing you know, I've been on the phone for 4 hours listening to somebody tell me about their own personal problems. And I didn't call them to hear about their personal problems. I called to help. Some of your personal problems are experiences that are similar. As far as trying to help me, I need people to speak out who are not afraid to do so.
Now you said it to my Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook Messenger. I literally just sent 3 links to your Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, I got it on my phone, but for some reason I'm pulling up on my computer, which is weird.
Yep, and that has happened a lot. That's something that if I say that stuff happens a lot when people are in communication with me and I'm trying to send stuff, I get treated like I'm making it up.
Somebody's knows somebody in the FBI who, or higher up, that is blocking shit.
And see, now you're talking and sounding schizophrenic.
That's not paranoid, that's logical.
Well, see, that's the thing. I've been in contact with the FBI and tried repeatedly to get the FBI to do their job. People keep suggesting things I've already done. The reason they didn't work is because I had to do them by myself.
Yeah, you do need help. Doing it by yourself makes you not as...
Makes me vulnerable.
Yeah, and it shows that you have no backing. So they can just wave it off as you're paranoid rather than a factual evidence thing if you don't have support.
Right. And what I've been telling everybody is I have the evidence. I've been posting evidence on my YouTube and on my Facebook for years. It's not just me venting.
Unfortunately, people don't like to watch that stuff.
I know.
Like to see the other stuff.
They only care when I'm screaming. That's why I keep screaming. If that's what it takes to get people to hear me, at least they heard me. If all they're going to remember about it is that I was screaming, well, you know what? They didn't listen when I wasn't screaming. It's not that I didn't speak to them nice. Do what?
That's a really hard route to take, though, bud.
It's not a route that I should have to take. I am a disabled adult. There is supposed to be a caseworker to help me with all of this. There was supposed to be from day one. And you know what? I did have caseworkers, but they didn't come forward. They didn't speak up. They didn't do their jobs as mandated reporters. And everyone in Nebraska is a mandated reporter.
I've never heard of that term. What does that mean exactly?
Mandated reporter? It means that if somebody tells you that a criminal act was committed against them, that you legally have to turn it in.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so in the state of Nebraska, it's supposed to be for children. If a child tells you that they were molested or beaten, you have to make a report, or you can spend 6 months in jail and get up to $1,000 fine. Do what?
Or you're liable too for.
That's right.
Kind of like in colludes.
Exactly, and that's the thing with me going to all of these people. I did turn it in. I did save the evidence. I do have many calls with these people where I'm explaining to them that I am being abused, and they're telling me things that are against the law. I mean, literally, even that's the problem, is that I looked this up before I called them. So when they were telling me things that were against the law, I already knew they were telling me things were against the law. You know, when they were telling me, well, this is the way that it goes, and I'd already looked it up, I already knew that's not the way it's supposed to go.
Unfortunately, Nebraska is very backwoods.
It is.
There's a new law. They won't do it unless they feel like doing it.
They don't follow the law. That is how it is.
Yeah. Especially back west here. It's even worse than it is back east.
And that's what my channel is full of, me speaking out about exactly that. About how a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, you can go to prison, literally go to prison, because a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl wants to pretend like you might do something. Whereas people can actually harm the shit out of you and nobody cares because you're a male.
Mm.
And that's literally what happened too. Go ahead.
What's your need with needing, I want to say it's more of a need of helping women.
It's not just women, it's also men.
Okay, yeah, I'm not trying to be sexist. What's your need for helping? Like, it seems like an internal drive you have.
I grew up in hell. I grew up getting beaten, I grew up being molested, and I grew up in places where there was no getting away from it. So when people are going through that and they need to get away from it, well, goddamn everybody who's not willing to lift a fucking finger.
Yeah.
When I was a kid,
well, that's just about everybody.
I am the hero as an adult that I needed as a kid. As a kid, I needed someone who was literally willing to go to prison to protect my rights.
Yeah, but that's God, gotta be a better way.
That's exactly it. The better way is to have someone in my corner, someone who can safely hold my evidence and actually do something with it. Dallas said that he's fine with holding it, but he doesn't have the mental capacity to go through it. That's not something that I can hate him for.
Oh, I'm willing to argue a losing battle.
Me too.
And sorry if I get quiet at certain points. I'm watching your videos too.
That's all right. I can hear it. I got some videos.
Mustache, though.
Do what?
I like your mustache, though. Oh, man, that's hard to get long.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you look Asian. It's kind of cool.
Well,
I always try to look at the bright side of things, too.
I actually haven't watched...
Too depressing for me.
I haven't watched either one of the videos that I sent to you. I can't watch them. They lie through the whole things on all of them. And the few parts that they get right, they still misconstrue as something else. It does make me sick.
Yeah. I can understand that. And I mean, I can relate to some of what you've gone through, but I haven't gone through near what you have.
You know why I moved out of Dallas? You know why I moved out of Dallas the first time? I moved out of Dallas the first time because Harley ended up getting busted with the kids in the car with all of that bullshit. And me and Dallas had discussed it on more than one occasion before, that his kids come first, and they absolutely do.
Yeah, I would agree there. That was very mature of you and very understanding.
Absolutely. But the other thing is, it wasn't my choice and it wasn't my decision. That was all on Harley. Now, Harley said that she would speak to me about it, and she eventually did. It took her over a year to do so. But when she did talk to me
You're
about
lucky
it...
she did that.
Do what?
You're lucky she did that.
Man, I knew she'd come around. I really did.
Mm.
And that's the thing. Like, everything that I needed her to admit to, she admitted to. I don't need to post it up on Facebook and YouTube. It's fucking not necessary. She was not somebody who was intentionally trying to hurt me. She did harmful things because of something that was beyond my control. It's not my fault, but I don't hate her for it. Not even close. I don't hate any... Let me put it like this. I have to pretend to hate people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like child molesters. They should be locked up in prison.
God. No, worse than that. I'm not that lenient.
Well,
There is no fixing a sexual predator.
I've known enough people who have gone to jail or prison who were not guilty that I can't condone the death penalty.
No, not death penalty. But I mean, when there's overwhelming evidence,
in that case, it's different.
Crime, it needs to fit like neutering or something.
See, I want that. I have been begging for people to take my balls and my penis. Literally, it's on my Facebook. I am not a sexual person. I never cared about sex. The only time in my life I actually ever cared about sex was with Jamie. It's because I was losing my best friend. She was my best friend at that point, and she wanted to have sex with me when she was drunk, and I wouldn't do it. And then when she was sober, she didn't want me. So I was like, if you don't want me when you're sober, you can't have me when you're drunk. And she said she respected that. And then she got drunk and had sex with everyone else. And then came and told me about it.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, I didn't want to actually date her. I didn't want to have a girlfriend. I wanted to learn about women. That's what I asked her for help with. I was like, hey, I need help understanding this. And, most of the time she just told me stuff like, Sean, women change their mind more than they change their underwear. Or, Sean, you know what, women are crazy. Or, Sean, I can't tell you what women want because women don't want what they want. Don't know what they want. And basically everything that you hear men say horrible about women, Jamie has to say horrible about women as well.
I don't know. I deal better with women than I do men. But I was raised by two very dominant women.
I do better with women than I do men as well. But that's also... All right, you know that men commit suicide at 5 times the rate of women, right?
I thought it was only 3.
5. 3 in Australia.
The other day, it was 3 times. But yes, it's still more. But women threaten more.
That's because women are more likely to get listened to. They threaten to get heard, whereas men finally give up. They know they're not going to get heard. Our society is a female-dominant society that we pretend is a male-dominant society. My stepdad is not a human being. He is my mom's personal bitch.
I was going to say, it was taken away from men through the 70s and the feminist movement. Like, one thing I did that really made my mom mad, but she could not argue the point with, was putting the toilet seat down. She would get so pissed. Put the toilet seat down. No. You taught me that we are equal sexes. If I can lift that seat, you can damn sure put it down. And I was like 9. And
I agree with that. But I put both seats down. I always put both seats down. If I have to lift the seat, they have to lift the seat. I'll make it easy for them. Because there's... Yes, sir.
I'm listening to you on the news. Man, they're really berating you.
I told you, and here's the thing, is when people wanted to...
Unfortunately, the way you look makes you look... Yeah, now they're saying you're a junkie.
That's right. Have you ever known me to do drugs other than pot?
No. No, I was actually surprised to hear that you drank.
I didn't drink. I quit drinking in 2001.
No, I meant at all.
Oh. Yeah.
Ever, yeah. I'm surprised.
I was drunk through all of high school.
From knowing you. You did? I thought you...
Yeah, you remember Larry and Doug?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I bought Larry and Doug alcohol, they'd provide for me.
Oh.
They lived right across the street.
Well, that was a coping mechanism at that point.
It was. But I also broke free of it.
I recognize that.
I still broke free of it. People in Chapel were horribly mean. And
well, just like with my DUI, I had only been drinking 3 or 4 months. And it was because Robin Bev wouldn't give my kids back. And Jenny begged me not to confront them myself. She would handle it, which I knew she would. And so my way of coping with it was drinking. Was that helping? No. Was it better than going over there and yelling at Rob's dad and taking my kids back? No. But at that point, I had given up on our marriage on trying to fight her parents controlling her.
Well,
so
here's
that's basically what it came down to.
I know how it makes me look when that's the only parts that they pick and pull out. But the fact is, I tried nicely for an entire year before Natalie was killed. I tried extremely nicely to get help. I tried extremely nicely. I typed everything nicely. I didn't expose her secrets. But the thing is that the things that she was claiming that I was slandering her name about, after she was dead, it was proven those things were true. Her dad did molest her, and she was on heroin. Those are the things she was claiming was slander. She went out of her way to use the mentally ill tag to convince people not to listen to me.
But yeah, she confided in you.
She confided in me years before. See, that a lot of people, it's the timeline that's messed up. People think I stalked Natalie in Colorado. I didn't know she was in Colorado. And in Virginia, I've got evidence that proves that she invited me. They denied me the right to face my accusers in court, kept on using the mentally ill tag as an excuse to deny me my rights, and they can't do that. Or it's illegal for them to do that. And that's the thing, is that they broke the law blatantly because they knew they'd get away with it. They've been getting away with it because the closest I've had to help, actual help in person, is being over at Dallas's. And over at Dallas's, I'm constantly afraid that the cops are going to come over there and harass him or harass me. I'm afraid that Harley might come over drunk and start a fight. I'm worried about all sorts of stuff. And I already know that Dallas isn't going to speak up. He's afraid to. He's already admitted that. He's already voiced that. And like we already agreed, his kids come first.
Yeah, yep, very much so.
He already knows that if I thought for one moment that he was abusing his kids, I'd have done something about it years ago. He's not abusive towards his kids. He is a very loving father. I have never, ever seen him do anything abusive to them, ever.
No. No, I haven't either.
I also know that Dallas is real hard on himself, and he blames himself for a lot of things that he didn't do that aren't his fault.
Yeah.
And he says sorry for a lot of stuff that's not his fault. And I know exactly how that feels. That's how people who are used to being victimized, that's how we cope. We say we're sorry for everything.
Yeah, it's hard to get over that, but it is possible.
Yeah.
Proof of that. I mean, that's why I've always said I'm the asshole that God meant me to be, because I got tired of dating him. So what did I do? I became an asshole. But I was also raised by my mom telling me, "Oh, you're not my son. You're my friend. Your opinion matters just as much as mine." Get that line of bullshit. You know.
With me, it was you're grounded for the rest of your life. Go to your room.
That sounds like me with Rhea, though. But she did some pretty crazy shit, and there was nothing else we could do for her. Like, I mean, we took her to the hospital, the ER, when she was cutting. I had to search her room, and she threw a fit, and then Cooper didn't know what was going on, came out. Me and him got into a scuffle. And instead of me taking him to the ground, because he would have hit his head on the fish tank, or if I would have went the other way, the kitchen table, I went down myself. So he thought he was the man then.
Yep.
And then it just escalated from there. That was the only altercation me and Cooper have ever had. Physical.
I want to let you know.
Supposedly, I'm physically abusive, mentally abusive, and emotionally abusive to all three of them.
I don't know. I haven't known you well enough for that. I'd say the closest you could have to thinking that I was paranoid is, you're probably right. That situation when I was hanging out with you and Jenny, the only time we ever hung out was with Brandon. I mean, I didn't go over to your house other than that, except for that situation with my sister, and that was an emergency.
Yeah.
But, I mean, did I or did I not come to your house, knock on your door, and tell you exactly, well, I told Jenny what was up.
Yeah, no, I've never thought any different of you. I've always remembered you as the same person I met. And nothing I've heard or seen has changed my mind. I mean, you've grown as a person and changed, of course. I know that.
I had to become an asshole because being nice wasn't getting heard.
There. Your core person's still there regardless.
That's exactly
just like, unfortunately, I'm oversensitive, whether I want to admit it or not.
Well, the thing is, if you watch that video, I want you to keep in mind, Rob Gavigan has 3.2 million viewers, or 3.2 million subscribers. And although not all of them have watched the video, the fact is that over 1 million of them have. There's also...
yeah, this one's 500,000, 3,000, or 3,500.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm telling you is that that's a lot of coverage. And there's a lot, if you go through the comments there, you'll notice I have been commenting. When people want to say that hateful stuff, I type at them exactly how it actually is. When I
wouldn't even argue with them. That, unfortunately, that almost opens up more guilt than... Because
I'm not telling you about advice.
Explain yourself.
I'm being abused, and I need help stopping the abuse. I'm being abused because of the slander that these people keep on repeating. I'm trying to show actual evidence. The actual evidence isn't just me speaking about it. It's actual evidence. A lot of it I can't post on YouTube or Facebook because I will get Facebook banned or I will get my YouTube channel taken down. There's a reason that the evidence that's not up is not up. That's why I keep trying to show it in person. Now, there's a woman named Mandy Hughes who has verified some of it, but we only got through a tiny portion of it. When I am literally screaming at the top of my lungs like that, I am screaming for help. At that point, I am overwhelmed. I have been abused to the point that I am having a meltdown. I am having a mental breakdown from the abuse. When you say don't reply to those people...
That's why I say it's healthy. That's why I say it's healthy, because if you didn't, you would either hurt yourself or...
But I'm not doing it to vent. I'm doing it to get heard, to try to get help. When I talk nicely, people blow me off. They tell me things like, oh, you just need to let it go. You don't get to let this go. And you can see that.
Some people blow you off. Have I blown you off?
You're not blowing me off. We're having a conversation. We're actually talking like human beings. Obviously, I'm, heightened emotionally, but you already know what that's like. You're aware of what that's like.
I mean, but I haven't had to deal with it to the extent that you have.
My problem is I'm having to deal with people's assumptions. They didn't look at the evidence. They believed what they were told. The people in Chappell, Nebraska who have been abusing me for the last 5 years over this, because the people in Chappell didn't abuse me over Natalie being dead until she was dead. That was 5 years ago. But the abuse from Natalie and her friends...
I didn't hear anything about it until after she had passed.
Yep. The abuse from Natalie and her friends has been going on since over a year before she was killed. And that's the thing. I mean, I had my friend Mandy sit down and read every single message between me and Natalie. That's the first thing I asked her to verify. And she did. Yes, Natalie thought she was in love with me. And I get how people go, oh, well, you're an ugly old man. Well, I don't know what she saw in me either. Maybe because I was nice to her. I don't know. I know that I wasn't...
You're probably real with her.
Well, I'm real with everybody.
Like she could talk to you. And that's really what a woman wants.
Well, her family was not okay with it. The problem that me and Natalie had with being friends is that because there was an age gap, because I'm an unattractive male, and because I'm older than her, they assumed that it must be a sexual thing. And she said, my family won't understand. And I got that.
I mean, Jenny's parents hated me, and I knew that from the first time I met them. And I told her all our 18 years of marriage and 3 years together that her parents hated me. And she's like, oh, no, you're just imagining it. And then after we finally got divorced, her parents said, we're so glad you're done with him. We never liked him. And I told her, I fucking told you so.
And see that
I was lying to you. I was serious.
When Brandon got married to Lisa, all right, I told him, I said, Lisa hates me. She does not like me. She does not like me. He's like, oh, no, she's fine. And then after he got a divorce, he's like, yeah, dude, I was just trying to be nice. She fucking hated you the whole time. She just wanted me to get rid of you. And I'm like, well, see, I knew that. It's the built-in lie detector,
Yeah.
And that's the thing with,
you know how to see that coming or recognize it.
And I do.
I mean, people being fake to you is, you see right through it.
But when I call them out on it, they pretend that I'm lying. I have had over a dozen people that I got rid of in the last month that wanted to call me a liar for something that I posted up the evidence already. That's where they're screwing up. These people are dumb enough to believe that I didn't save the evidence to begin with.
See, the internet's a fickle media because so many people don't believe anything but the bad. The bad's a lot easier to believe than the good.
And it's also based on their bias. I mean, if they believe that...
Why do you think the news posts murders and all that stuff going wrong and wars? Because it gets more ratings than the good stuff happening in the world.
That's right.
Nobody's going to talk about the good stuff you did for her. They're, of course, going to talk about the bad you might have done.
A lot of people, they like to throw in my face that they helped me years ago as their excuse for looking away when hundreds of people were a part of this situation. Hundreds of people were a part of this before Natalie died. Between the friends that I had gone to for help, the officers I had gone to for help, the friends that Natalie had gone to, and the officers that she had gone to, there were hundreds involved. When it came to the people who were threatening, harassing, and assaulting me for over a year before she was killed, that...
Yeah, but do you think they're going to want to admit guilt?
They don't have to admit guilt. I have the evidence. They don't have to admit anything. I have the evidence. I need help showing the evidence. They don't have to admit to shit.
Okay, but we need paper evidence too. I mean, just showing a judge YouTube videos.
No. See, you're assuming I don't have literally thousands of pieces of paper. Let me...
No, I'm hoping you do.
Dude, all right. I have video after video on my YouTube channel of the massive pile of evidence. Yes, there are literally thousands of pieces of paper evidence. I have everything I need. The problem is I am constantly moving, and every time I get somewhere new, I have to pull it all out and reorganize it again. And then once it's organized, I can start going through it. But I keep on having to move because of safety issues.
Okay. Well, I've been looking at lots for sale.
I don't have any money.
There's a couple here near Chapel. There's actually one that I really like that's out near Road 173 and 18. And they want $18,000 for it. There's power right by it.
That's all the way up north by Nelson's place. That's past Morgan's.
Not that far off. Because I lived on 173 and Road 28. That's where I grew up.
I must be thinking the wrong direction then. Because I thought Morgan lived on...
Lower is south.
Yeah.
So basically, it's the second turn. You go 173, and it's the second turn. I believe it's the cemetery is on your left. You would take a right, and about a half mile down is the property.
Yep.
So really in the middle of nowhere. You'd be a mile and a half, and then there's yours.
Well, if I had the money to do so, I'd be down.
From either highway.
Right now, I had a guy in Colorado send me $120 today. That's what I have to work with.
How are you living on your Social Security? Aren't you trying to save with that? I mean, like...
They took away my disability, and I had to call them up and get it reinstated yesterday. They're not going to pay me till Wednesday. It's $800 and something a month. But it's not enough to live on when you're on the streets. No, I won't.
Won't you get back pay that'll help you?
No, because they only cut me off for they're only cutting me off for a couple of days. The back pay that I had was all taken and spent. That's the thing about all of this. People have taken advantage of me. When I have money, they pretend they're going to help me, and then I jump through the hoops to get the help, and when my money's gone, they throw me away like I'm garbage. They're taking advantage of me, and I can't do anything. I need somebody to help me with that stuff who's not going to take advantage of me, and I also need someone who is going to help me pursue these people who have taken advantage of me, because that has torn apart every part of my ability to defend myself. I mean,
I'm more than willing to, as long as I know I can help you win, or at least give it my best effort with the proper evidence and everything like that. I mean, you know what I mean? I wouldn't promise you something I'm not going to give you. I'm not
the thing about the YouTube videos, when you were showed my YouTube videos,
have so much saved.
When you were showing my YouTube videos, which ones were you shown?
I was shown, actually, the only one I only watched part of it, was the one Jenny sent me where you were going off about Rod.
Exactly.
The church and stuff.
Now, did I threaten to kill him?
Honestly, I didn't watch the whole thing. I turned it off, and I told her, why are you freaking out about this? This is a healthy outlet for him, you know?
Well, I didn't threaten to kill him.
Put it like that, because but she said that her dad was talking to the cops, and you threatened to kill him. It was my fault for not watching the whole video.
So he literally lied to the cops.
I stood up for you.
So he literally lied to the cops.
Yes, from what I understand from Jenny. And Jenny thought you were going to kill him too. And yeah, she completely turned on you, and I'm like, okay, why aren't the cops arresting him then? Well, the cops are scared of him. And I said, why are the cops scared of him? Well, because he's schizophrenic. I said, I don't care if he's schizophrenic. I'll go over, pick his ass up, talk to him.
And that's the thing, is that I'm not schizophrenic. I'm not schizophrenic. I need you to get that out of your head right now. I need you.
Okay, I understand that now. But I mean, if I would come to you,
if I'd have told you this stuff today without sending you what I sent you, you'd probably still think that crazy shit. But now that you've seen it, is that different than me just talking about it? I mean, that's actual evidence that the things that I'm saying about these groups being created, those groups are still making these videos. When I have people that are assaulting me in chapel, they're saying the same things that people are typing in those videos. They hold the same hatred and the same bias. Do what?
They're slandering you.
Exactly.
Assaulting you.
No, they're assaulting me. Robert Franklin Warnick assaulted me twice. Okay, Joshua Rayborn assaulted me. Those were actual assaults. And the only reason that I can tell you those is those are the ones whose names I know. I don't know all of their names. When Christopher Kerf and Carl Snell threatened me not once but twice, one of those times Laura Nelson was right there within earshot.
But my point was with the whole thing was, yes, I did not know the whole story, but I knew you well enough to know that if I came over here and talked to you, that I could probably get you help one way or another. I wasn't scared of you. If the cops are fucking scared of you, they don't need to be cops, is what I told her. I said, that's fucking ridiculous.
The cops do need to be scared of me. They're scared of going to prison. That's what they're scared of. They committed felonies.
I said if they're that scared of him, why don't they call him the state troopers and the FBI and everybody else if he's that much of a risk to everybody in the town? I literally told her that.
How many people had I assaulted?
And it pissed her off. She wouldn't talk to me for a week.
One of the things that they tried claiming, they didn't let me defend myself. They didn't call any witnesses. They tried claiming that I was walking through town with a hatchet or with an axe, so that meant that I was trying to kill people. Did anybody die with an axe?
That's not illegal.
It's not illegal, but they were doing that to try to pretend anything that they could pull out to try to pretend that they were being victimized. I had that axe for a reason. I got that axe from Chris Stegeman. He gave it to me so that I could do work at his dad's house.
Even if you're mentally ill, it's not illegal for you to walk around with a loaded gun unless you've been denied that privilege because of a felony. That's the only way you would not be allowed to do that. You know what I mean? That's much more than acts, like, you know, in terms of, what do you call it, ability to commit a crime. You know? So regardless
these
of
people aren't
being mentally ill or not, you having a weapon walking through town is not illegal.
But it's not a weapon. I have to use it against someone or something, you know, that's living in order for it to be considered a weapon. I used it against trees at Stegeman's. They didn't bother to ask Chris Stegeman.
Weapon to give them leeway, to even give them a little bit of bait to nibble on. They can call it whatever they want, by definition. A weapon, a tool, whatever. It is not.
But we're not arguing the sentiments here. I'm just telling you the facts.
For you to have and carry around town.
And that's exactly the point. I didn't do anything illegal through that. Nothing illegal. Everything that I did was legal.
Regardless of your mental status, regardless of what the item is, unless it's a bomb or, you know, something illegal.
Oh, I had that too. I just didn't have it assembled. And I didn't have it on that particular occasion. I had a bomb for blowing my head off where Natalie killed herself. That's what these people drove me to, and that's what my friends drove me to by not caring. You should ask Dallas about the phone calls that I made to him while I was in prison. You know, he kept on telling me he's a horrible friend, and apologizing over and over because of his fears and because he didn't answer the call because he was having his own personal problems. And yes, it fucked me, but I understand Dallas. I understand his fears, and I understand that if somebody has that anxiety, you can't force them out of it. That'll only bottle them up worse. And Dallas don't deserve that.
Yeah, no. He's not in a position to take it. I am, because I have no family. I have no kids. I've been disowned. Judy and the kids have disowned me after it's weird. The whole story, I had a billion person or something.
Is Rod a pedophile?
And this is about you, not me. I'm disowned by them, and that's fine with me. So I'm on my own. I'm free bird. So that's why I'm willing to help. If I still had them to worry about, it would be a different story. I'm sorry. I would help you as much as I could, like Dallas did, but I would have my limits. Right now, I got nothing to lose.
And see, all of that is stuff that I've been explaining since the beginning. You're talking about all the dynamics I've been explaining. I've been explaining to people that these are the issues. A lot of people with families offered to help me, and then they were threatened, harassed, and intimidated. Dallas really got lucky on the amount that he took.
With intimidation.
Do what?
But yeah, I heard that they did. I don't do well being intimidated.
Neither do I. That's why I yell for help.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the shit beat out of me too many times that I'm not afraid to stand up for myself.
Neither am I. The thing is, I'm going to prove to you that Natalie and her friends stalked me. I have the evidence, and from the very start, if somebody would have taken a look at that evidence, none of this other stuff would have happened. I'm also going to show you videos of officers who are literally in prison now, or in jail, or have been on the news for repeatedly assaulting me, who I wrote down their names. I wrote them down when they assaulted me first. I have video footage of several of them assaulting me. See, that's the problem with the police, is that when you try to turn in the police, their protocol...
Have you tried contacting the media?
The media slandered me first. Yes, I'm going to show you that I have every suggestion that you're going to make. I can show you I've tried. I can't do it alone.
Well,
that's the problem with the...
you covered your bases.
Yep, I contacted the media. The media slandered the shit out of me, and then they literally went out of their way to treat me like shit for trying to contact them.
See, with about $150, we could do an every door direct mailer. And I'm almost serious about that. The price is about right for that town. I know that from working at Aaron's, doing flyers and envelopes, you know.
Well, there's two things that are important for me. All right, first of all, the situation at Dallas's and Harley's, I can't hide that. That's not something that I can hide. It's because of that shows that Scott DaCosta, I have over a dozen people that Scott DaCosta intimidated, just so you know. I've recorded over a dozen people telling me that. So I have the evidence. It's a matter of someone listening to it.
Technically, it is legal for them to be intimidatory to get evidence, to gather evidence.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not okay for them to threaten, harass, or intimidate somebody for trying to turn in their predators. Once you see the situation, it's not. I saved the evidence. When I say that all right, when I sent you that, I told you that those 2 videos were made by other people. That's because they're made by other people, right?
Yeah.
Are those on my YouTube channel, or is that somebody else's?
This is yours, 106 views.
Oh, you're watching mine now?
Hitman on Craigslist. Yeah.
No.
It's called Hitman on Craigslist.
That's not one of mine. Somebody else made that video. I didn't make that. I didn't make that video. I sent that to you because someone else made it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't make those. I don't know how to do any of that fancy stuff. I told you I was going to send you stuff that other people made, and that's what I did.
Oh, okay.
I sent you 3 of them. And the third one was about my little sister getting threatened and followed by the Dual County Sheriff's Department. That was the day that she went. Do what?
When I tore up my mom's house because of her drinking and not letting Todd have custody of Dakota, Dallas covered my ass like an awesome brother he is and cleaned it up. But Paco knew what was going on, and technically he harassed Rhonda because he asked her 3 days in a row exactly what took place that night, and her story changed 3 times. So technically that could be taken as harassment. You know what I mean?
This is a lot worse. What they did to Dallas was worse than that.
I know it's worse. I'm not saying it's as bad. I'm just saying it could be seen as harassment to certain people or a certain judge. That's the whole problem.
And what I'm telling you, the evidence,
jury trial.
The evidence that you're basically you're assuming that I don't have, I do have it. Nobody would look. I've sent it out to many people. That's the thing. My autism advocate.
I always plan for the worst first.
Right, and
that's just my nature.
I plan for people to end up talking about themselves, their own personal lives, and their own things while I'm trying to tell them what's going on. I don't want you to believe me.
That as an example.
What I want you to do is just listen to the story, and I'm going to send you the evidence of all of it. See,
I'm not real great at not questioning if I don't understand something, no.
Like if I say that somebody threatened to kill me, I'm not going to send you a video about me talking about it. I'm going to send you the actual threat. I'm going to forward you the actual threat if it's across the emails. I'm going to take screenshots.
One of those, I could actually do something with that.
I've had them for years. That's what I'm saying, is that I have had them for years. Nobody would look at them. Nobody would help me to get them seen, not even my autism advocate, and she's not an accredited advocate. And that's right there. They allowed me to have the advocate because legally they have to, but then they wouldn't allow her to do any of the things that an advocate is supposed to do.
Have you ever filed paperwork on your own to get a trial started?
I have. I've had to go in and turn in that stuff to Scott DaCosta. My legal paperwork.
No, that doesn't sound right.
That's not who it's supposed to go to. It is illegal. It is illegal. That's the point that I'm making, is that they told me and made me do illegal things knowing that they were illegal.
Mm-hmm. That is illegal because that would be like evidence, and you're giving them grounds to fight it before it's even brought to court.
All right, let me explain it to you like this. Before every single time that they pulled this stuff to have me locked up for trying to turn them in, I said on my Facebook and on my YouTube so that it was public, so that people did know what my intent was. I stated loud and clear, repeatedly, that my intent was to get a day in court against them. And in all of this, they keep ignoring the fact that I spoke out, I told them what I was going to do, and because of that, they took steps to prevent me from doing those things. Similar to Rod and Jenny trying to pretend like I'm threatening to kill them. Do what?
Yes, it is. I agree with you there. Definitely. The bad thing is you need to not do it on YouTube. YouTube is still not seen as a credible source. You know what does that
I'm speaking out on YouTube. I'm speaking out on YouTube, and I'm making my videos on YouTube with the intent of them being used as evidence in their entirety. This is all to try to do something about this screwed up situation, because you and I are not the only ones who go through it.
A lawyer would tell you not to do that, though.
And I agree. I agree that they would, because I've heard them say it. I've also stated... And I everything that you're going to tell me...
Civil charges would be easy as fuck. I could walk into bar and file civil charges against Acosta for you. I would just need to get here by the court date.
And if I go there for the court date, they'll arrest me and prevent me from going again.
On what grounds?
They'll make something.
I would like to see that, because I would be the one representing you.
Well,
you can have anybody represent you.
They have done so repeatedly. They have established a pattern of it. When I speak out on my YouTube channel, it is public. It is for everyone to hear. I tell my intent for a reason. When I go into court...
But do you think a judge is going to hear that, unfortunately?
A judge doesn't hear anything. The only thing that they have allowed in court is hearsay and lies and slander. They won't allow evidence in court. They won't allow me to show evidence. They won't allow my paperwork to make it...
I'm pretty sure I could get it submitted for you. I'm confident on that factor, that I know the legal system well enough to get a civil court case started. I can't do a criminal because I'm not a district attorney, I'm not a state's attorney, I'm not like that. But I could definitely easily start a civil trial. Whether we win it or not, there's no jail time. And it just makes him look bad. At the very least, it lets you present your evidence.
Here's the thing about Jenny saying that I'm schizophrenic. She's slandering my name.
Okay, but I said the same thing, but...
You did, and you slandered my name too. The difference is that you're actually looking at the evidence. You didn't do it maliciously. You didn't do it as an excuse. You didn't do it... You didn't do it to try to justify something that you're doing that's wrong. Do what?
I'm PTSD, bipolar, and agoraphobic.
So you're afraid of wide open spaces.
Huh?
You're afraid of wide open spaces.
No, I'm agoraphobic, as in I'm afraid of people.
Ah. I'm scared shitless of them, but
I like small, little groups.
They told me it's social anxiety disorder, but I guess there's probably differences between the two because both of them are in the DSM-5.
I think they're switchable definition-wise, but they change that shit all the time, you know? Just like you said, with the being psychotic, schizophrenic. No, that's not right.
The point with leaving up all of the evidence, I'm not hiding anything. Leaving up the evidence that I screamed, there's a reason that I leave that up. Because I have all of the evidence that I did everything else first. You know, what are the 3 steps they teach you as a kid? What if you're being bullied, what are your 3 steps?
And what?
If you're being bullied.
My dog was whining.
If you're being bullied, what are the 3 steps that they taught us growing up? What are you supposed to do if you're being bullied?
I didn't follow them. And that's why I did well.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing, is that I did follow them because they tell you to do ththings that don't work. But if you don't do those things, they pretend you didn't try. The first thing you're supposed to do is go to the bully and tell him how it makes you feel and ask him to stop. And what do? Oh, did Sean forget to put on his big boy panties today? So then you're supposed
to... What did I do, though?
See, this isn't about you. But go ahead.
No, I'm not trying to change it on me. I'm trying to tell you what did I tell you at the beginning that I did. I moved from school to school and made sure I didn't get bullied. I figured out who was going to try to bully me, who thought they were the big shot.
And see, that's the thing, is that I knew all of this before I got started. I knew all of that before I got started. I knew what I was up against before I ever got started. Just like I knew exactly what I was up against when I first started rescuing drug addicts. I didn't start rescuing drug addicts because they were drug addicts. I started rescuing those drug addicts because they were homeless. Now, the drug addicts that I had helped before that, I helped them out because they were in abusive situations. Not everybody that I rescued was Miss Perfect. Not everybody I rescued was Mr. Perfect. And, of course, you know, I grew up with drug addicts. My whole family are a bunch of drug addicts, although I grew up in the system with a different set of drug addicts.
I think I remember saying that one time.
Well, most people get molested by their parents. I was molested by the other kids and some of the staff in the places that I was at. They didn't put me in nice places. I was the minority in most of the places that I was at, with few exceptions. The few exceptions were almost just white people. And they were very nice places.
I would apologize, but I know it would just come across as shallow. That's why I haven't.
You understand.
Not because I don't feel for you. Yeah. But I know there's nothing I can say that can make it better.
When Mark is over at the house and his wife is over there and she's saying ignorant things like people who are autistic don't have emotions. No, you're confusing an autistic person with a psychopath.
No. Yeah. And I've been accused of being that too. But that's because I try to rely on logic rather than my emotions, because I found it helped me through life easier as an adult.
And have I not always been a logical person? Until this happened with Natalie, people did not see these desperate situations out of me. They didn't see me act out of desperation like this before the whole situation with Natalie. Before Natalie was killed, I was already going off the deep end. I couldn't see my support network. I am autistic. I cannot defend myself. I have to have my support network, and they cut me off from that. So at this point, I've been through 6 years of abuse when I am entitled legally to actually have somebody help me and assist me with these things, and they have done everything that they can to deny that. Now, when you start listening to the conversations between me and Marcia Estrada, that's my caseworker, or my therapist, she's licensed. She can diagnose me as schizophrenic.
Where's she out of?
She's out of Scotts Bluff, but she goes to Sydney.
What's her name again?
Marcia Estrada.
Estrada, okay. So the lady I see is out of Scotts Bluff, but her name's Deanne, and she actually lives at Gurley. She's great. She is fantastic.
Marcia's pretty great, too. The problem with Marcia is that her coworker, because it's a two-part system. First of all, it's
this lady's
you have to have a therapist and a caseworker. The problem is that my caseworker is Penny Cooper, and she didn't want to do her job. Now, since Penny Cooper is a coworker of Marcia Estrada is actually her boss. But I took it to Marcia Estrada, and rather than dealing with the situation properly, she backpedaled.
Okay.
So she's protecting her own, and that right there I'm not okay with. Now,
okay. One thing, I think we're getting a little off topic here.
We absolutely are.
Regardless of whether you are autistic or you are schizophrenic, has no bearing in court if you have this evidence. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I do have the evidence.
They can throw it at you. They can throw it at you, but it's not going to stick.
Do you wonder why it is that they've locked me up 7 times in just Dual County alone, and I am still free? None of their charges stuck?
You didn't have proper representation.
I didn't have proper representation. They dropped the charges literally every time because they had to. 7 times, and all 7 times it is shown that I had expressly stated my intent to turn them in.
Well, not even more goes towards a civil case to be able to.
And that's what I've been trying to explain to you. You keep on going off on your own tangents and changing the subject a bit, and that's the thing that I was trying to explain to you earlier when you first.
You're talking about wanting to build the case, and that's where I'm looking at it as a legal aspect.
Right, but at the same time, you need to understand the story. That's one of the most important aspects of it, is first you listen to the whole story. Once you've heard, the reason that I was able to help people so well, actually help them, instead of just throwing a bunch of ideas at them, I listened to their entire story if they wanted to tell the story. And at the end of it, either A, I've already figured out what it is that they need and they tell me what they need, or B, they just tell me what they need. So by the end of the story, there's always little stuff that prevents them from being able to do things that you assume should be easy. And you need to understand that those little things do actually exist. They're called mitigating circumstances. If you are illegally prevented...
What kind of help you needed?
I need help stopping the abuse. A civil trial is a start, but there's going to need to be a lot of them. Zach, I can send you hundreds of threats against my life. I can show you the whole network of the Bollinger family, and right now I'm even working with a woman who... If you want to know about human trafficking, go ask a homeless woman. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Just ask somebody who knows.
Your sister, if you were to ask her about human trafficking, she could tell you horror stories.
Yes, I'm sure she's a prostitute.
I know.
On the boulevard. I'm pretty sure. But, yeah.
And that's not something I was wanting to bring up.
But unfortunately, that's what she wants. Or that's where she's at. She wants the drugs more than all the chances that the state has given her. And I can't believe the state's given her so many chances. She needs to do some serious time in probably 5 years and get herself shit straight. I mean, she might not even that. She might be like her dad, always running from the law, moving from state to state, across the country, changing his last name. I mean, unfortunately.
You know how many days I spent calling hospitals when I found out she was missing?
Yeah, I did hear from Nikki that you tried to help a lot.
Oh my God, dude. Dude, I've always loved everybody in your family. You guys have always been nice to me. And, you know, other than a few limited interactions, you know, I really didn't know all of you as well as I would have liked to get to know. But I remember you guys from church. I remember your mom more than any of you. And Coda.
Sorry about that.
I definitely remember Coda, and I'm going to tell you why I remember Coda. I remember Coda because ever since I was young, I was like, all right, I better not tell anyone he's gay.
Oh, yeah, we all as kids growing up knew he was gay before he did.
But you grew up with Todd with his gay hating until he found out that Coda was gay.
Well, he even had trouble after that.
Oh.
He had a little trouble coming to terms with it for years, really admitting it to himself.
Well, the hateful stuff that I heard out of Todd, you know, right outside of the church about gay people, that made me...
And stuff, yeah.
There was no way that I was going to... That little boy didn't deserve it. Now he's a grown-ass man, and because I fucking sheltered him like a dumbass, he's fucking... thinks he's God. He knows better than you do.
Yeah, trust me, to me, Todd's got around and around.
Oh, I'm talking about Coda, thinking he knows better than everybody else.
Oh, yeah, no, I love arguing with Dakota. It was hilarious. Just like he hated that thing I wrote about the church. He had my sister call me.
Yo.
And he's like, I'm calling you because Dakota asked me to. She's like, I think it's great what you wrote, but Dakota's really worried about you, so I'm calling.
The thing is, you know the people that I'm talking about. You understand my concerns with them. You understand my concerns with Mark. You understand my concerns with Dallas and Harley.
Small town politics and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, Dallas,
for you to be probably in Gilbert or someplace smaller like that.
I can't go to Colorado. That's the thing, is that Natalie's death, it was in Colorado, and here it was nationwide. After I was assaulted, all right, I need to explain to you how this got all fucked up after her death. I had people that were willing to help me, and I had people who had tried to set up GoFundMes to help me, which I can also prove that I was trying to get GoFundMes started before Natalie was killed. I needed help. I was trying to get help and take her to court. I can prove all this. But I went to my friend Miss Peach's house. That's Kayla Trujillo. And when I went to Kayla Trujillo's house, she was going to help me with that after dinner. She had just had back surgery. I have back problems, and I can show you the medical stuff on that too. And I should probably also show you the part. I can prove to you that Natalie was just outright lying the whole time. She completely misrepresented
I was
it.
say that by that name alone, I am making judgments on the person, and I don't know them.
Well, the thing is that after she died and it was on the Denver news, everybody in 100 miles of, well, several hundred, because everybody in Chappell watches the Denver news. Everybody in Scottsbluff, everybody in McCook. I mean, all these places that I have been in Nebraska and Wyoming as well. Rawlins, Wyoming gets Denver news. Cheyenne, Wyoming gets Denver news. When I say I am recognized everywhere I go, that's not a joke. Now, then there's when I say that many of these places, they have literally millions of views on them, and there are literally hundreds of these things. That's just on YouTube. I mean, yeah, absolutely. You know, this is not stuff that I'm just speaking out about. When you found out about one video from Jenny, I mean, you didn't know about all of the evidence I've been posting. I've been literally posting actual evidence, actual conversations with actual witnesses, where they're speaking about being threatened, harassed, or intimidated by the police, where they're speaking about other people threatening to kill their children, where they're talking about other people who are also pretending like they were going to help me and telling me, all right, Sean, this person, the reason that I left is because at this point in time, this person was literally threatening to kill me. And I didn't know what to do. And that person who was threatening to kill them later on, because they were pretending to be my friend, were claiming that they were going to help me in ways that they didn't. I can prove that the predators that I was trying to turn in the Bollinger family slandered me in court. They were allowed to, and I wasn't. The issue is that they keep on separating me from the evidence. I was trying to turn in Scott DaCosta. I had it set up so that I could meet with the Nebraska State Patrol. Him and his deputies and their safety issue that they had created made it so that I couldn't actually go to that appointment. The other thing is that they wanted to take all of my evidence. They said, if there's evidence of crimes on there, we have to take all of your evidence. I said, well, here's the thing. I'm going to try to make copies of it. And the officer, or the Nebraska State Patrol officer, this is years after this is supposed to have started, they were finally going to come see me. And they knew that I was trying to turn these people in, and I was trying to show evidence of the crimes against me by DaCosta and all them. And they were supposed to
protect cops.
Right, exactly. But they were also, she was supposed to talk to her supervisor and call me before the appointment, and she never did. So my autism advocate, and I've got all of this recorded, my autism advocate was coordinating with me to try to get me safe so that I could safely turn these people in. My autism advocate has seen a whole lot of evidence. The problem is that there's so much of it, it's a jumbled mess. It has to be gone through.
You from the very beginning, because the only person you're supposed to turn evidence like that into is a lawyer that's representing you.
Well, I haven't had a lawyer.
You're required to
I was trying to turn in
kind of evidence into.
Zach, you're missing the point. I was trying to get a day in court and show the evidence there. That's
I understand
everything that I've done.
I do understand where you're coming from. You thought you were doing the right thing, but by law, the only person.
No, I didn't thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I had already tried everything legally that you're supposed to do. I'd been denied all of my legal rights. I had to do desperate things to try to get help, Zach. I had nobody on my side. Dallas was scared. Harley was scared. Harley was working together with Robert Warnick before I went to prison.
Lawsuits. It's because they have enough money to drag this shit out in court.
Or they have somebody who is there in person. I am a disabled person. They call me mentally ill and they can deny me all of my rights. So when you call somebody...
I tried that at first with my divorce, and I never even heard from them once.
Do what?
I tried calling them legal aid for help with my divorce, and I didn't hear from them once.
You're a male. What did you expect?
Everything I could on it.
You have to have someone do it with you. That's 100% of the time when people are denied, I explain to them, you got to do it with somebody else. And some of them tell me, all right, well, I did go in with somebody and I was denied. And I ask them, was this your first time being denied? Yes, it was. Well, this is standard procedure for them to deny you the first time for disability. And that's the thing about having experiences with all of these things. You also have experiences with them. You know how they're supposed to work.
I was denied the first time. I'm talking about legal aid. People who will
I know. And see, I'm not getting them confused. The reason that I'm bringing them up is because all of these different agencies, I've contacted all of them. Legal aid. You're
still supposed to return your phone call and say, we cannot help you. They didn't even do that.
What I'm saying is that they all told me to go call somebody else. All of them are under the impression that it's somebody else's job, and it's not, and that needs to be corrected. There's also the fact that if it says on their website and they are subsidized by the United States government and its taxes, they need to do it as advertised on their website. If they advocate for the disabled, they need to advocate for the disabled. If it's adult protective services
got a phone call back.
And a grown adult who is not treated like a grown adult. People treat me like an animal, all right? The only safety I had in Chapel was Dallas's house. Did you know that? Did you know Robert Warnick assaulted me right outside of Dallas's house?
I heard that there was an altercation. I didn't hear any details.
Yeah, there was a couple of altercations. The first one, I was trying to turn in Scott DaCosta to the Nebraska State Patrol, and I'd been doing so for years. And the Nebraska Attorney General's office told me that who I needed to contact was the FBI. The FBI has been ignoring everything. They told me I have to get a hold of the Nebraska State Patrol. Nebraska State Patrol told me I have to get a hold of Dual County Sheriff's Department to turn them in. So then I go back through the line. I call up the Nebraska Attorney General's office. I say, hey, here's what's going on. They tell me you have to call the Nebraska State Patrol and they have to investigate it. So you call them and they send out an investigator. They have to do this within 24 hours. They have to contact you because this emergency, blah, 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 blah. They had some jargon for it, and I don't remember all of the jargon. I do apologize. This started years ago.
No problem.
But the point is, they told me that Nebraska State Patrol is the ones who are supposed to do that because there's no police department in Dual County. Since there's only the Dual County Sheriff's Department, the Nebraska State Patrol is supposed to investigate it. So they told me I had to call Troop E. I called Troop E. I was told to call Troop C. Troop C told me to call Troop F and Troop E. And they had me calling all of these different troops that all told me that it's not their job for literally years. And then...
giving you the runaround.
Yep. So December 16th was... the sixth time that they had arrested me for trying to turn in DaCosta. I was making the phone calls to Nebraska.
But there could be a statute of limitations. That might have been part of why they were doing it.
That's exactly why I was trying to get Dallas to help. That's why I was trying to get anyone to help. That's literally why I've been screaming at the top of my lungs that there is a time limit. There's also the fact that it's because it's been ongoing, there is no time limit. They have literally been preventing me from turning them in since 2018. And they have repeatedly broken the law to do that. Since I have evidence of it, the fact is, because I have evidence of it, and because Rod Wright has evidence of it, and because that body cam on that officer was on at the time, all of that needed to be shown in court. I needed help, Zach. Like, you are the first...
I've seen too many of those videos. I've binge watched for 3 days the videos on cops pulling over people and doing illegal shit. So body cam being on doesn't mean shit. I'm sorry to say. They can erase it. They can same time.
I know, and that's why I record it, Zach. That's the thing. You're not telling me anything I don't know. All you're doing is reinforcing everything that I've been streaming on my YouTube channel. If you listen to my YouTube channel, the stuff that I'm streaming is literally what you're saying. You can also go back and notice that I said it many times before I streamed it.
It's not going to be the best outlet for you to get this accomplished. It's going to
You said no. What you're not understanding is that it is media. All right, it's the only media that I have access to. What I'm doing is showing evidence, showing the truth, showing proof, and showing that I was treated completely differently. When people yelled at me, it was okay. It's not okay for me to yell. When people assaulted me, it was not okay. But they want to twist my words and pretend like I'm threatening to assault people when I'm not. They did this to me repeatedly. But I never made it as far as court because my public pretenders wouldn't do their jobs. So I have to take them to civil court to show this. This has been ongoing for 6 years. I literally have to have someone who cares about me before any of this will happen. Unless you've been homeless, this is a lot of stuff you're not going to understand.
That's a very good point. That's just what I was going to bring up. I was going to say, I can almost guarantee you I could get the news involved, Denver, whatever, if I called and said that I know of a homeless guy or that I am trying to help and he's being, mistreated in our small town. He's autistic. That right there.
That's exactly the point, is that if I say it, I'm not heard because I'm autistic. But if you explain it...
Yeah, and I'm very eloquent. I'm pretty eloquent when I want to be.
That's what I needed at the beginning. I had the evidence, I just didn't have access to it. I was forced into homelessness and separated from it. All I needed to be able to do was to show that I'd been trying to get help and nobody would help me. They all had good ideas.
Taken from it. Once the media gets involved, they have no choice but to do something about it. Whether it's discipline the cop, which is a slap on the wrist, which
right.
You can still go after.
But what I'm saying is that they weren't going to do it for me. The lawyers explained to me before Natalie was killed, I was getting a hold of them. They explained to me that because they're calling me mentally ill, that I am going to need someone in person with me before even the lawyers can talk to me.
I was going to say mentally ill, if we go with the schizophrenic or the autistic, whichever you're more comfortable with, or both help. Let them sort it out.
Here's the thing. I tried to get diagnosed as schizophrenic.
I don't mean that. I don't mean any offense by that. I'm just trying to draw attention to you, like you want from the
exactly. Do you know why Marcia Estrada would hold up? This is important. Do you know
two different groups at your back?
Do you know why Marcia Estrada would not call me schizophrenic? She states outright that I'm not schizophrenic. This is no joke, and I'm going to send that to you too. The reason that she would not call me schizophrenic is because she saw proof. I had proof in my hand when I spoke with her. I had the evidence to actually show her.
I seem lazy.
But I told her, hey, if you're going to, please, if I'm schizophrenic, call me schizophrenic. Diagnose me as schizophrenic. That is help. That allows me to automatically, never mind what the DSM-5 says, that automatically makes it so that I am what's called a, not just an at-risk adult, there's a special name for it, developmentally disabled. If you are schizophrenic, you are developmentally disabled. And that's what,
exactly.
Way back before Natalie was killed, Tamara was supposed to be helping me with the developmentally disabled paperwork, because then it would make it a felony for Natalie and her friends to continue to stalk me and threaten me and continue to assault me.
Yes, because you were unable, supposedly, to take care of yourself, blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
I am unable to take care of myself. If it hadn't been for Dallas, I would not be Dallas saved my life. I literally can't take care of myself. Ask him how doofy I look going up the stairs. That shit hurts. And it took me years.
Those are steep stairs.
Well, and then there's my knees. Dude, the cops abused the living fuck out of me repeatedly. And then they, like you were saying about the body cams, that's why I needed someone there in person. I have been screaming for someone there in person for years. There are people in Chappell, Nebraska who know all sorts of stuff about this. But then again, like people like Chris Stegeman. Chris Stegeman can verify that I was back there in his dad's backyard chopping down all of that crap back there, and I was using that axe for it, and he did give me that axe for that purpose. And Dallas can verify the fact that he used that axe. He likes his better. He went and got one out of the shed he dug out.
Oh, that one with the taper on it. He's got one with electrical tape around it near the head.
Yep.
Out there in the block right now.
Yep.
It makes me laugh because I've done the same shit.
That's the thing, is that I'm not saying things that are untrue. Everything is verifiable, and I've saved the proof.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you're a liar. I'm just trying to make sure that we could prove it.
Dallas told me that if I recorded him, that he would stop being my friend. Now, I have recorded him. He's walked in several times while I've been making videos. He knew I was making a video, but he was drunk. So he already knew that he was recorded. Whether he remembered it or not, I don't know. But the situations with him fighting with Harley, I did absolutely record those. I had to. I'm not going to have him going to jail or prison for being assaulted by her. Does that make sense? But the fact is, it also shows that Harley was over at Robert Warnick's. Harley had an issue with me. She had all sorts of, I guess you'd call them reasons at the time. We had an issue over Dallas. We had an issue over Dallas. She thought that I automatically chose Dallas's side, and I didn't.
Over anybody. She gets jealous when Dallas would hang out with my family.
And Dallas explained that to me. He said, it's a jealousy thing. It's not your fault. But the other thing is, I'm not going to ask him to go testify to her jealousy issues in court, but that does make it an unsafe situation, and he knew it, and I knew it, and we did the best that we could. Like, when I say that Dallas put himself out, he put his neck out there for me the best that he could. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like my brother.
Dallas is a fucking badass. Anyway, I have recordings of one morning.
Sean agrees you're stupid SOB.
Do what?
He said that sounds about. I said Sean agrees that you're stupid SOB, and Dallas said sounds about right.
Tell him I love him, please.
I'm joking with him.
No, I really do love Dallas.
I don't think he takes anything I say seriously.
That's good, because I don't think he's a dumbass. But the point with Harley,
brother, so I can call him that.
The part that I have recorded with him, it's not on YouTube. It's never going on YouTube. It's never going on Facebook. It's important because it does show that the people that were angry with me at the time were coordinating and were working together. And the situation with it, like, they were arguing over whether or not she was over there at Robert Warnick's cheating on her. And the thing is, it was right after Robert Warnick had assaulted me, and, you know, he knew that there was an issue with Harley. There's somebody in Chappell, Nebraska, when I make a video, they don't tell, there's literally hundreds of videos of me talking about how wonderful people were, the wonderful things that they were doing. And then there's one video where they did something fucked up and I said something about it. Nobody ever sent them any of the good videos. They only saw that one where I was admitting to something that they had done wrong. And they did do it wrong. You know? When I said that, when I tell people that I've been assaulted, I'm not, that's never been something that I've ever had a delusion about or imagined or anything of that nature. But when you're the odd man out in Chappell, Nebraska, people assume the worst. They assume that because you're different, you must be a violent schizophrenic or that you must not know what's going on. I grew up in the fucking system, and I grew up in the cities, and I grew up on the fucking streets. I knew better than any of you motherfuckers. No offense.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with you there. I was pretty privileged.
But, like I said, the stuff that I have to show you, Dallas hasn't looked at it. He's not able to look at it. He has his own... You know him. He wasn't like this before, and I wasn't like this before. Do you remember?
Like I said, I wouldn't be volunteering to help you if I actually had a life of my own. Like...
Every one of these people
risking something,
who wants to pretend like I would hurt them, like literally the only thing going through my head at that point is, dear God, nobody take advantage of that, and I better do something to protect these people. If I am hundreds of miles away, if something happens to them, nobody's going to blame it on me, but they have. While I was in prison, my friend Christine overdosed on fentanyl, and because of the rumors with Natalie and them claiming that I'm some big drug dealer or some crap like that or some junkie, you know.
You definitely don't look like some big drug dealer.
So I've got people in Colorado who are harassing me for killing somebody in Colorado that I could not have killed because I was in prison. And then they're telling me, and you best not be talking shit. And people always want to do that. It's not shit if it's the truth. And if I can verify it and I can show it, it's the truth. I have dozens of videos with witnesses where I have asked them, did this happen? Or am I schizophrenic? Yes, Sean, that happened. Why do you keep asking me that? The reason that I keep asking that is because these are the situations that people pretended I was schizophrenic for saying that they happened. So those people...
I was not meaning it as anything against you. I was meaning it as a positive way to help strengthen a case.
Right. No, see, I'm
autistic, same thing.
Right, and see, that's exactly what I've been saying this whole time, is that somebody has to pay attention to that. I've been contacting him and telling him myself.
Facebook with it.
I
know you need to vent and you need an outlet. But
it's not about venting or having an outlet, though. It's about educating and making sure it's out there. I've tried the legal way. If I can get it done the legal way, it doesn't have to go on Facebook and YouTube. The stuff with Dallas.
Something like that would be more helpful. Written, verbal. You know what I mean?
And see, I've already done both of those. I've done both of those. That's what I'm explaining to you, is that people want to ignore the ones where I talk. That's why I scream. If you go through my videos just on my Facebook, you can hear 2 of them where I screamed today, but you can go back through the last 3 or 4 weeks easily and hear me talking.
I'm not telling you what to do here.
I know.
I'm just trying to give you good advice.
Well, you're trying to give me advice based on an assumption that you have. This is the best media that I have. This is the evidence, and this is also me speaking out. I'm aware of that. I don't want to sway people toward my opinion. I'm not trying to sway you. I'm trying to convince you how to help yourself the best I know how. The best way that I can help myself is by getting someone else to actually help and to actually do the speaking out. That way I don't have to, because I'm not any good at it. When I am overwhelmed and I am scared and I am shutting down. But the thing is, they have to be willing to speak publicly. They have to be willing to verify publicly what they've seen. If I show you this stuff, would you be willing to get on my YouTube channel and say what you've seen?
Not on YouTube. I would write pages or something like that. I don't think I'd be comfortable showing my voice unless I was on actual media. Until I was on actual media, then I would go on YouTube after that.
And what I'm telling you is that this is probably going to result in actual media. The reason for my YouTube channel and speaking on that is to get people to actually look and entice the media to actually care, because the media slandered me all sorts. The reason that they're blackballing me.
Edit it and chop it up and turn it into the crap that is making you look bad.
Exactly, and that's the point, is that you are aware of that. That means that you can point it out rather than asking me to take it down. You're already pointing it out.
You shouldn't do it. So, like, if you do want to post a video, if you want me to help you, I can definitely watch a video for you and tell you you need to temper this down to get your message across, or maybe try this route to convince people. I can be helpful that way too.
I'm not going to need that. If I've got somebody who's willing to help me fight this and is willing to speak out publicly, that's all I need.
Like I said, I don't mind speaking out publicly, like in a public forum, in court, on the news, but I don't think I'd be comfortable on YouTube until, other than saying that this person needs help, stuff like that.
Why not?
Simple stuff.
Why not? If you saw evidence,
I don't want to get chopped up and end up being posted as nuts too. I'm already posted as nuts around here.
And see, that's the reason that I needed help instead of having to do it that way. Everything that you're offering to do, that's what I've been trying to get help with from the start. I can show you that I have been trying that from the very beginning. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That's what the things that you're saying, I already know. That's the thing, is that all you're doing is verifying for me that you're already aware that these are the bias. Because you're aware of the bias and you can identify the bias, it means
so does that comfort you, or does that make you more apprehensive?
It doesn't matter either way. The fact is, it makes you more knowledgeable. It makes you more capable of helping me because you understand.
Well, then some other things I've already thought of that I've been trying to get out are things that looking at people I know, like
One moment. I'm sorry I didn't come see you today. Starbucks was closed. It's good to see you. I'll try to get there in the next couple of days if you're open. I literally walked all the way there from here and back today. Yes, ma'am. I'm in a lot of pain, but I'm pretending I feel okay. All right, now one of the things that needs to be mentioned is that the behaviors that were exhibited towards me, I tried to turn in my predators, and I was repeatedly told things were not illegal. And when I did them, magically they are. Yeah. So here's the thing. If the cops are going to tell me it's not illegal, I'm talking about the cops. The cops arrested me for things that they told me were not illegal. When I tried to turn in all of my predators for what they were doing, I was told it was not illegal to do those things. But when I did them, magically it's illegal.
But like you said, what it came down to was they kept you in jail so you weren't represented in court, and then it was dropped. If you're in jail and I can't get you out because I set your bond too high, I'm still going to show up at court representing you.
Exactly. And I also need you to have access to literally all of the evidence, which is here with me.
We'll make copies of that.
I've been trying to do that. That's what I was doing at Dallas's. The problem was that, the anxiety shutting me down and the fact that there's so much to do. There's a lot of evidence even yet to collect. If I was to... I want to spam the shit out of your Facebook Messenger with all of the Natalie Bollinger stuff that has just been popping up just in the last year. You would look at that.
I'd much rather use my Gmail. That way I can categorize it and save it to a file easier. That way I have access to it quicker.
Well, I did start doing that, and that's the thing about when I was explaining the story about me trying to turn in Scott DaCosta. The first time that I was, or the sixth time that they had done this was on the 16th of December when I called the Nebraska State Patrol. Nebraska State Patrol told me I needed to call Dual County Sheriff's Department. I called Dual County Sheriff's Department. They told me they can't investigate themselves. I have to call the Nebraska State Patrol. Nebraska State Patrol told me it's not their job to police the police. I needed to call Dual County Sheriff's Department, so I called Dual County Sheriff's Department. This has been going on literally for years. And finally, I
would check out the law before I even made a phone call. Check out the legality of their accusation, because they can say anything they want.
I know, and that's the point.
Lie to your face.
You see, you're trying to break it down. Don't break it down yet. Just listen. Scott DaCosta.
Can I tell you one other thing before, real quick?
Sure.
The other thoughts I've had is you got to also think about election timing.
I do.
Who's up for election? How a case like that would look. Good or bad for them.
That's Scott DaCosta, and the guy who's running against him is James Hammond.
A lawyer, literally a state attorney, take your case on something like this just to get a slam dunk, easy in and out, and make him look like a great guy to whatever community he's trying to appeal to. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, we can talk strategy after you know what's going on. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Instead of keeping on breaking it down, everything that you're saying to me, it's all stuff that I'm already aware of or have already tried. Having somebody with me when I try it is what I need. But what I need that person to do first is to be informed. Now, I need you to understand that I'm going to send you the evidence of everything I'm telling you, but I need you to listen to the story instead of having to stop to OCD something else in. And I'm not trying to be rude by saying that. It's that I need to be able to explain
it's just the way my brain works.
I know.
So I don't forget it.
Anyway, Scott DaCosta, I was trying to turn him in, and I had a lady named Stephanie Mejia who was going to help me, and she was going to be on her way. Now, the thing is that it was taking her too long, and I had people like Wendell McPhee telling me, hey, Scott DaCosta is running around town telling people he's going to run you out of town, and they had already done so once before. Now, the lawyers want to change the wording to make that legal and say it's not illegal to want someone to leave town. Well, it is illegal to conspire to run someone out of town.
Push them out of town.
Exactly, which is what they did. And there are people in town, like Jace Jepson was a witness to a lot of situations, and I have him recorded on my YouTube channel.
I always kind of wondered if he wasn't, too.
What?
A little bit. Run out of town by threats and stuff.
Oh, that was Big Jason. I'm talking about Jace, younger Jace. And Big Jason Jepson, he was good. Oh, Little Jason? Actually, he was one of the people that was slandering me. He was run out of town after he tried to murder Ashley.
I don't care for him.
I don't either.
That's neither here nor there. If he could back your story or something like that. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people that can back my story, and there's also a lot of evidence that most of those people were threatened, harassed, and intimidated by the cops, including DaCosta. And your brother can verify that too.
Yeah, and all you have to do is get them required to come to court. I can't remember what that's called.
And that's the thing about dragging Dallas to court. You know I don't want to do that.
You just watch what you ask them.
Well, I know that part. You know, all I'm asking is for the truth. And, you know, a lot of his opinions, the great thing about his opinions is that they're just opinions, so they're not even admissible.
I was going to say, opinions aren't allowed in court, so you're good there.
They were. That's why I need your help. Opinions were allowed in court. Hearsay was allowed in court. Lies and slander were allowed in court. I was never allowed to speak.
Yeah, somebody should have stood up and said, objection, Your Honor, that's opinion.
They didn't care. We never made it to trial. None of them made it that far. All they were doing was trying to drag out the time for a statute of limitations. But because they have established a long-term history of doing this, it is still relevant. It is still legal due to the fact that they have literally run me out of town repeatedly and have repeatedly abused their position to do this. Yes, I can bring everything up all the way going back to the very first time that they dragged me to a hospital in 2017 over this. Yes, I was taken to the hospital in 2017 because they had bullied me. Natalie and her friends had bullied me to the point that I was suicidal.
Statute of limitations in Nebraska.
They're no. Ongoing.
I'm Googling it.
I know you're Googling it, but what we're talking about is ongoing. If they have been doing this, preventing me from turning them in for 5 years, and the statute of limitations is only 1 year, with an additional year with special circumstances, the fact is, if the last crime that they committed was less than a year ago, then I can bring all of it up because it shows that they have been preventing me from turning them in for 5 years. I've been trying for 5 years. I have the evidence.
What'd be great is if you show up here and they start harassing you.
They did. That's why I left. They chased, dude, one of those videos I sent you, they chased my little sister. I don't know if I can go back safely, Zach. That's why I want to show you the evidence.
I can pretty much guarantee your safety because I wouldn't let anything slide, trust me. I would document it.
And I've documented
it. Get you your day in court, one way or another.
Well, the biggest issue is that it's 6 years worth of it. And I've got 6 years worth of backlog to look into. And as far as the statute of limitations goes, the things that they did, it is obvious since they always drop the charges. It's pretty obvious that they were committing crimes when they locked me up. that they were trying to hide the crimes that I was trying to turn in. The fact that I spoke up about it before the fact goes to show that. When Scott DaCosta and State Trooper Lassen assaulted me on December 16th outside of Dallas's place, I was trying to turn in Scott DaCosta. And I was telling them that they needed to send me a state patrol officer because it was unsafe. Scott DaCosta has done this repeatedly. He did it while Dallas wasn't there. I was sitting there in that little dinky shed, and that's where I had to work from so that I don't disrupt Dallas if he's home. You know, and I was in that little shed. I paid my rent. I had my electricity out there. They told him not to let me use the internet and not to allow me access to electricity. I wouldn't be on the internet if I had help in real life. That's how it was from the very start. When you realize how public this has been, do what?
Something like that would be as simple as falling under a harassment and protection order.
I've filled out many of them. I turned them in the Dual County Courthouse. I turned them in where I was told to turn them in. I was told to turn them in to the Dual County Sheriff. Turns out they're supposed to go to the Clerk of the Courts.
No, it's supposed to go to the county clerk, not even the judge magistrate, not the sheriff.
No,
Mine says the county clerk.
The Clerk of the Courts, not the county clerk. It doesn't go to the county clerk. It goes.
Clerk.
Well, Joan Hanson, I have Joan Hanson recorded. She is the Clerk of the Courts, not the county clerk. The county clerk is Polly Olson. Joan Hanson told me.
Say that she didn't lie to you.
Well, I have it recorded on YouTube
Polly
publicly.
Once before too.
Do what?
What? I had to correct Polly once too about filing.
I'm not talking about correcting Polly. I'm talking.
When I filed my divorce paperwork, I gave it to Polly Olson. She looked at it. She said, this is in the wrong format. I said, this is not the wrong format. That is a legal format right there. It's the one I chose. Everything's correct and in order. She actually read
All right, well,
it.
I'm trying to tell you about my situation, and you're going
over it. And then she said, okay, yes, you are right. I'm sorry, Zach. That's the kind of effort I put into shit.
Scott DaCosta, I was arrested on the 16th. I was taken to the hospital. After that, Polly Olson drove the ambulance. They took me to the hospital. They lanced the boil on my butt. But the fact is, I was assaulted. I was trying to turn in Scott DaCosta for the crimes he had committed prior, and he and State Patrolman Lassen both assaulted me for trying to turn him in. It is illegal for them to do that. Everything in this is a conflict of interest, and you're going to notice that.
Well, I could have the paperwork filled out before you got here, and then you get here in 6 months, whenever you can make it, and if they show up, you know, wherever you are, all I have to do is turn in that paperwork, and if they say you need to leave town or whatever like that, I can, submit it.
I record it. Every time when they...
Oh, yeah, you can record it, and then it can be used in court.
Well, it's on the internet.
Filing this paperwork is then not allowing them to contact you. Another deputy would have to.
And see, you're not telling me anything I don't know. Zach, I need you to understand. I'm explaining to you that I've done these things. I'm explaining to you what they told me, not so that you can argue the legality or the not legality of it. I have already researched all of the legality and not legality of it. I'm trying to tell you the situation as it happened, and you keep trying to... I need you to listen, Zach. You're taking some things wrong.
I'm trying to listen.
All right,
but
I know.
There's some stuff that's not adding up to me.
Exactly, it doesn't add up.
It might be because they fucked you over. I'm not saying that they didn't. But somebody else watching your back, it's still going to get submitted. It doesn't have to be submitted by the person filing for the protection order.
Right, but I'm trying to let you know about the situation so that you are aware of it. And I'm trying to explain it to you so that you can understand it. And because I'm autistic, I have to explain it from point A to point Z. The best way for you to understand it is as a timeline. And as a timeline, I
can't, in my ability, I have to question things. If I hear something that doesn't quite add up to me, not calling you a liar, it's just I need to make sure I got my I's and T's crossed, or whatever they call that.
And all of your questions are going to be answered, but I'm telling you that because of my disabilities, you can't do that. I will go off on a tangent just like you do, and we will not communicate. It is important for you to hear the story and just listen to it as a story. Listen to it as if you were listening to the radio. And then at the end of it, I will send you all of the evidence so you understand that I'm telling the truth.
Okay.
And the thing is, right now, I have to, we've been on the phone for a long time, and I for the last 2 hours, I've been trying to explain this. I am getting frustrated with it, and I am super frustrated with it. When Scott DaCosta and Lassen assaulted me and sent me to Scottsbluff jail, I was assaulted again in the jail. All of them, any cop in America that I meet, because when you're charged with assault by a police officer, and I'm going to show you this, all right? I was assaulted by Officer Waylon Lolatai, and he assaulted a lot of other people. He no longer has a job, okay? I'm also going to show you his assault against me. That's also recorded on video. But because of that, even though they had to drop the charges, they keep having to drop the charges because I'm not guilty. The fact is, all of those crimes that they committed against me and then charged me illegally with crimes that I did not commit, they have done this repeatedly. This is their MO anytime somebody like me has to go in by myself. So,
okay, that's false reporting even on an officer, which is even, I think it's a felony. False reporting by an officer is a felony, I believe.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I know I didn't need to interrupt you.
And they have done that repeatedly. They're also, one of them, he's a bad cop named William Barr. He married Jessica Martindale. He's not a cop anymore. He got fired. And he was one of the people that I was trying to turn in as well. And he used the whole situation with him formerly being a cop to try to lend an ear to him. That's what I've been trying to explain, is that the mentally ill tag is what's preventing me from being heard. They are making sure that because if it's just me, they can make it their word versus mine. That's what they've been doing. I've got the evidence that shows the abuse. When I was assaulted by DaCosta, I had to go back to Scott DaCosta's department to try to turn in Robert Warnick when he assaulted me. And that's when Leslie Snell, for the third time, tried to give out my phone number knowing that it was on a live YouTube video. I have to make them live because if I don't, then people can't go back while I'm in jail and look at the videos and see that I was telling the truth. I did make those calls. That evidence is all over my YouTube. It does exist. Does that make sense, Zach?
Yes. I already forgot what I was going to say, but it was a valid, very valid point.
All of your points are valid. Every one of them.
If they want to say you're mentally ill and you're being represented by somebody who's mentally ill, that it looks even more positive in the eyes of the community. You know what I mean?
Well, they've called me mentally ill to prevent me from turning them in. All they're doing is trying to discredit me. It's illegal. What I'm saying is it's illegal for them not to investigate the crimes against me. It's illegal for them to deny me representation, and they have.
Yeah, they've treated you really poorly, and they've skirted the law somehow on every turn, and obviously the judge isn't on it, so I would ask for a change of venue, too.
I need a different... Exactly. See, you know exactly where I'm going with this. The more evidence you see, the more you're going to realize, oh my God, dude, somebody should have shot Sean years ago. By the end of seeing all this, you are going to be for assisted suicide for me.
I'm going to be for what?
Assisted suicide.
I'm only for that for terminally ill.
How about terminally abused? Because there's a lot of it.
No, because there's too many people I couldn't, no. That's like putting down a hurt dog, or not a hurt dog, but an abused dog that you can help.
Well, as long as you're helping. As long as you're helping. But you also have to understand that if you're trying to... One of the biggest examples that I use, and I know it's an analogy, but a lot of the help that people want to give me. If I am a sailor and I've got scurvy, I've been around sailors my whole life. I know what scurvy is. So I got a friend. I get to land, and my friend has an orange grove. And I go there, and I say, hey, I got scurvy. You think I can get an orange? He's got some sitting there right there on the table. But he wants to convince me I need to gargle with salt water. If you got scurvy, that might kill you. So then he wants to convince you that you need to go to a bunch of other places because there's something else that you have. So you go to these other places because he thinks you might have something else. They're saying, dude, you got scurvy. You need some oranges. You go back to your friend and you say, hey, I got scurvy. I need some oranges. He says, wait, did you try going to those places? Yes, I did. They all told me that I have scurvy and I need some oranges. Well, and at that point, that's where you're going, you know what? I need to go get one of those people who says I have scurvy and bring them with me. But they don't want to come with me because they think that a note is going to be good enough. And then, of course, I get there with the note and they say, oh, well, how would we know you didn't write that?
See, you bring up a requirement that I would like to instill if we do work together. And that is we go see a mental health professional that either I'm seeing or that we know, neither one of us know is reputable, and get you tested. And I would like to be there, if you don't mind, just so I know what's said so that nothing comes out later and bites us in the ass.
Oh, I record everything. I have a clandestine recording device, so no matter where I go, I
don't even record everything, but recordings get fucked up, they get edited, they get misplaced, they get stolen, they get destroyed in evidence. I mean,
yep. And that was the point.
I would like to hear it myself. That way I could say for sure,
exactly,
yes, you're autistic, and I can tell everybody and preach it from the mountain.
All right. Well, I have a licensed. My therapist literally is licensed to diagnose schizophrenia.
Yeah. And it's not because I don't believe you. It's just so that I'm covering.
It's not a matter of you believe in me. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send you the conversation with my licensed independent mental health care lady. I mean, yeah, when I tell you I have the evidence, I have it.
Yeah, and I hope you do. And I want to believe you because I've always believed everything you told me because you haven't led me astray yet. So, but I'm a very factual person. I need to see the evidence or the facts.
And that's what I needed all along. All of these people at the very beginning who said that they were going to help me, promised they were going to help me, I was like, I need you to look at the evidence. And they'd say, oh, I don't need to see the evidence, Sean, I trust you. And now they're like, oh, well, Sean, I don't know nothing. I wasn't involved. And many of them actually were far more involved than they actually know. I mean, a lot of people were trying to tell me to do things and giving me encouragement and stuff that they didn't know what they were being encouraging over, apparently.
No, I mean, most lawyers don't even know unless they look up half the laws. I mean, you have to look up shit. It's just the way the system is.
Well, the thing is, I tried to get help before Natalie was killed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most important part to bring up.
That's really messed up.
All of this happened because of what happened to Natalie. All of the threats, all of the assaults, Scott DaCosta not wanting to do his job. That's because it's against the law for them not to do their job. I am a disabled adult. It's a felony for them not to do their job when I come to them and say I'm being abused.
You know where the FBI office is, right?
I've called the FBI. Going into the FBI, it doesn't matter. Unless someone is there with me, I've spoken with the FBI. I've got hundreds of recorded calls, like I've said. They're on my YouTube channel. They're live so that if I go to jail or I end up dead, the evidence is there. Even if I die, it's on YouTube. There's a reason I do it on YouTube. Sure, they can chop it up in little bits and pieces on their own channel, but the entirety of the video shows that that's what they did. They went out of their way to misrepresent the situation, and because I am a disabled adult, I am an at-risk adult, it is felonious for these news agencies to misrepresent like that. It is felonious for the Bollingers to misrepresent. It is felonious for the police to misrepresent. And it is felonious for all of these Facebook and YouTube places to misrepresent, especially given the fact that the evidence shows solidly that with an increase of that BS, came an increase of assaults and threats against my life. I can show assaults. Well, I can't show the assaults because I wasn't able to record them before Natalie was killed, but I can show the threats. I can show the threats that I was receiving before Natalie was killed, and I can show the assaults and threats from after Natalie was killed. Well, the ones where I wasn't locked up, and that's the problem.
It helps who you know. I do know some people who would be considered like key helpful people. I'm not bragging. I'm not saying they're the best advice, but I think they could help me, especially if I don't tell them the full circumstances. You know what I mean? I just call and say, hey, I have a question. Do you mind if I get your advice on this? Polly Olson's a great one. She's been around in the court system way too long. Court papers go through her before they go to the judge magistrate.
I went to Polly Olson at least 24 times. I just want to let you know that. I went to...
I was on the ambulance crew with her. I went to school with her daughter. I know her too well.
I went to school with her daughter too.
That's simple.
I said I went to school with her daughter too. I also was with the ambulance ride. She was the ambulance lady. But the thing is that Polly Olson and Joan Hanson is the clerk of the courts. I have recorded her telling me that I have to turn it into her. Meanwhile, the first time that she had told me that, she told me that it needs to go to the sheriff's department, which is where I took it, to Scott DaCosta. I thought it was messed up.
The only thing I can guarantee you that I can do is a civil case. I can't take it criminally. You realize that, right?
I do. And the thing about you talking about the media and talking about making those phone calls and explaining that to people and so on and so forth, that's what I need. Mm-hmm. I need somebody who's willing to look at facts instead of trust me. I tell everybody, I don't want you to trust me. I want you to look at evidence. I want you to verify it. By the way, I've also got videos of people who did verify evidence even in the short amount of time that we had.
Mm-hmm. But that might not be admissible in court because they weren't sworn in.
It doesn't matter if they were sworn in. They can be sworn in. They can be taken in. The point is that they're using the media to create... I need you to understand, they use the media to create a public opinion that has been getting me assaulted for 6 years. I've been getting assaulted for 6 years. I'm not talking verbally assaulted. I'm talking physically assaulted for 6 years. It's important. I get that you have all of this. It might not be this and it might not be that. And instead of doing that, listen. Please, listen to understand, not to listen to break it down or say maybe you can't this or maybe you can't that. I've been listening to that for 6 years. For 6 years, this is why people don't know what the hell is going on.
You want to know what the good news I could tell you is that if we did do a civil case, and especially one, it is going to get picked up by a criminal.
I'm aware of that, and that's why I've been trying to get a case. That's why I literally every time that I have broken the law, I have had to, and I can prove that too. People say, oh, well, did they hold a gun to your head? No, they didn't have to. They were threatening my friends and my family. And absolutely, yes, they're threatening to kill them. So, yes, they were holding a gun to my head. Even if these people wanted to run like mice into little corners after telling me that people were threatening to kill them, I still have to worry about all of them. I have to worry about not just Dallas's kids. I have to worry about a lot of other people's kids that aren't even my friends anymore. Does that make sense?
That's why I don't think you should use those videos, and I don't think you should post them.
And the whole thing with those videos and posting them is that it shows the truth. It shows that I've been trying to get help and that I haven't had it. If you're going to help me with the court stuff, I don't have to make those videos. Do you understand that?
We just talked about how people chop them up and edit them so it looks bad on you.
Exactly,
so it's not
but not on my channel. The fact that it is on my channel after they chopped it up and tried to make me out to be something that I'm not, they committed a crime. And if I take down the full video that they chopped it out of, then they get away with it. They get to pretend that's all there was. Are you not understanding that, Zach? They are not allowed to take it out of context. It is felonious for them to do so. That is what they have repeatedly done. What I have on my YouTube channel is the full truth. It's the full video. I don't know how to edit, Zach. So stop bringing up the edit thing and listen, please.
I'm trying to, bud.
Well, I'm getting overwhelmed from you interrupting me with all of your assumptions. They are assumptions. You're assuming that you think you know what I'm going to say. You're assuming that the legality of the situation is this or that. I haven't gotten far enough through any of it to be able to explain anything at all in over 2 hours, Zach.
You've explained a ton to me, man.
I've tried. But I need to establish it as a timeline, and I need to be able to actually conserve some battery to send you the evidence of what I'm telling you about.
Okay.
It's a 6-year mess, which means we have to start at the beginning and work our way through. The stuff individually with Scott DaCosta is the stuff that you need to know about, the most important, because he is immediately there. He is one of my immediate predators.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm trying to explain this stuff to you, don't think about it as court. Think about it as you need to understand what I'm going through first. Before anything else, you need to know the full story before making assumptions or opinions or suggestions. You need to know. When I tell you that I have called the Nebraska Attorney General's office, the Nebraska State Patrol, all of these things, and you're telling me, well, they can't do that. I know they're not allowed to. That doesn't stop them. So every time you interrupt me to tell me that doesn't add up, I know it doesn't fucking add up. I know it's illegal. I don't need you to stop me and give me a 10-minute explanation of it's illegal. I know, Zach.
Okay, I understand.
I'm overwhelmed.
But you gotta understand how I work too. I always have to think the worst case scenario.
Don't think the worst case scenario. Just listen to the fucking story.
That's the way life is, man. I've got to.
That's why I make the videos, Zach. I make the videos because if I try to explain it to people, they do what you are doing. It is a communication issue. Autism is a communication issue. Every time that you interrupt me, I have to start over. And I don't know if I can explain that to you another 100 times, Zach. Every time you interrupt me, I have to start over. Autism is not a choice. I did not choose for this to be the way that I am, but you are overwhelming me by not listening. I make those videos because you can't interrupt me and send me off on a tangent somewhere else.
Okay. I hear what you're saying, and I am trying to understand. We operate differently, very differently.
I'm autistic. There is a particular way that I am capable of functioning when overwhelmed, which I obviously am. Have been for 6 years. I've been in a constant state of panic and survival mode. Everywhere that I have been dependent upon other people. When I was staying at Dallas's, I understood that staying at Dallas's was dependent upon a lot of different things that had nothing to do with me. I understood that the kids and the cops and all of the situation with Harley, I understood that none of that was my fault, but that any of that at any point in time could get me kicked out. What I'm trying to explain to you is that the more you interrupt me and the more I have to go back to the beginning and try to start over again, the more frustrated I am and the worse my communication is going to be. And if I explain to you 1,000 more times that I just need you to hear the story, that's why I make the videos. Which why it's best if I just hang up on you right now and just start sending you the videos and you can watch them.
I was going to suggest that. For today.
I don't hate you. I am having a severe meltdown. I'm in a lot of pain, and that's not your fault, but I'm overwhelmed with everything I have to deal with. I have to try to move my car so that all of my evidence doesn't get stolen or impounded. I don't have the money to get it out. I have nowhere to go. I'm broke down in Oregon because I didn't have help in Chappell, Nebraska.
I'm sorry about that. I wish I would have been able to help you.
Well, I tried to contact you a couple of times, but mostly Dallas was giving me an update on your stuff with Jen, and oh my God, he was right. He said, Sean, if you ask him for help, like he's got his own bullshit going on. And he didn't go telling me all of your personal bullshit. He didn't. He's not somebody...
No, it wouldn't matter if you did. I don't have any secrets.
I don't have any secrets, and you're going to see that because these videos are all public.
Yeah, no, I see that.
The point of
From the
those
ones I have
videos is
seen.
that's what I've had to do out of desperation because people didn't listen when I spoke or asked. I went through all of the things that you're supposed to do legally, and I can prove it.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to hang up on you. Explaining it is not nearly as
I'm
functional
sorry
as
that
sending
I got you
evidence.
upset. I was not my purpose.
It's not your fault.
And
I
I'm
didn't
still
explain
willing to
it well
help
from
you.
the start. I didn't explain
Just
it
so
well
you
from
know.
the start because I was already overwhelmed.
Okay. I'm sorry on my end too. I didn't mean to. I was trying to get it right in my head as a route to take. What's going to be best for you?
Do you get that I'm scared and not angry? Do you understand that I'm scared and not angry?
Yes, I can't imagine living like that.
I'm being harmed because of people's assumptions. People keep telling me to do the same things that you've been telling me to do, and I've tried them all. Eventually, I screamed at all of these places. I didn't have anyone in my corner.
Well, why do you think I'm scared to go outside and be around people? Hey, going shopping, because everybody's judging me who looks at me. They know
You're in
everything I've
CHAPPELL
done.
Nebraska.
You're talking shit about me. Even if I go to Sydney, if I go to Denver or someplace big, where I can get lost in a crowd, I know I could kill somebody, nobody'd see.
Man, I've been listening to people in CHAPPELL, Nebraska tell me you're a violent schizophrenic since I got back to Chapel, and I tell them all the same thing. You know what? I've never seen him violent, and I've never heard him be schizophrenic, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Tell me? Oh yeah, I'm sure I'm all kinds of crazy stuff.
But I stick up for you.
Scared of me.
And most people don't talk about you.
He's got how many guns?
The only people that talk about you are mostly people that obviously you're not getting along with. Rod has how many guns?
Yeah, he's got probably over 50. And he has explosives, and the guy he likes to go shooting with makes homemade explosives. So, yeah, that's why I put the guns and explosives on my post.
Yep. Well, here's the thing about that. Like, I don't hate Rod. I hate what he did. I hate that it's small town politics and not. He showed me there's no God in him. There is no Jesus in that man's life.
No, but that is the one pulling the strings, not Rod.
But she's crazy.
He is totally whipped by her, and she is totally two-faced. I've literally taken Cooper there when he was a baby, and it's first thing in the morning. Wait for her to come to the door. She looks like a normal person waking up. She opens the door halfway, and her face changes into this fake smile. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. Bullshit. And it's like, can't you just be normal for once? How do you hold that face all the fucking time? Like, I can't be fake. I wish I could at times, but I can't.
You know what? The worst thing I did out of all of this was to threaten the people that threatened to kill my family. I threatened them back. But I can also prove that I threatened them back. I was accused of threatening people that I didn't threaten. I was accused of killing people I didn't kill. And they took things out of context, which is very big no-no in a court of law.
Well, yeah, it's inadmissible.
Well, the fact is that Judge Weimer allowed it. Also, they already knew that there was a conflict of interest.
I would push for getting a different circuit.
I did. I tried that years ago. I tried that a long time ago. They wouldn't allow me, and my public pretenders wouldn't allow me. And they wouldn't allow me to do it myself, and they wouldn't allow me access to legal materials. These are all against the law. They would only allow me a court-appointed attorney who is willing to push the mentally ill thing. My public pretenders all acted against me. All of them.
And that's what they do. I know. I've been screwed by public defenders too. Like, I wanted to take stuff to trial, and they're like, "Oh no."
The reason that that explaining a lot of this stuff to you is important is because you do understand it all, and I am aware of your situation at least well enough to know that.
I understand a fair portion.
You're right. You don't understand the sheer quantity of how evil it gets once it's been on Denver news.
Yeah.
Like, it was on every news channel for days. The people who it was just a passing fad, forgot about her already. But the people who knew me in person are never going to forget that, are they?
If we get you on the news and something changes, like a good advocate or a trial win, then shit's going to change for a lot of the people.
Well,
for some of them, no, they're still going to remember the first thing, unfortunately.
Well, that's the thing about the people in Chapel. The people in Chapel, all of the places where I had a safety network before Natalie was killed. I don't have a safety network anymore. Chapel, Nebraska, it's either people who are predatory towards me or people who back the fuck out because they don't want to get caught in the crossfire. That's about it. There's a lot of people who knew more.
I'm ready to move at the drop of a hat, so that don't matter to me.
Well, shit, move to Oregon.
If it comes back on me, I'm gone. I mean, that's not a problem. So I'm not worried about that.
What do you think of Oregon?
Oregon's okay. I'd rather Seattle.
Ew. I can't live in a city.
Just because I like the ferns and I would like to be... Well, I do like... I've always wanted to go to that northern hemisphere rainforest.
That's where I'm at. I'm literally in the rainforest right now. Mount Hood is at the base of Mount Hood, or Hood River is at the base of Mount Hood. This is the Northwest rainforest. I don't
know my geography of that area that well, but
Oregon is the state literally just south of Washington.
Pictures I've seen are just fabulous.
Oh my God, dude! I've been posting up just the view from the parking lot at Starbucks is beautiful. You can see the Washington State side from where I'm at. I literally have posted on 3 different mornings the fact that there's different weather on the Washington State side of the river than there is in the Hood River, Oregon side. They're on my channel. They're probably a few weeks back and buried under quite a bit, but they're on there.
You know where the Puget Sound is, right?
Dude, I used to live in Seattle. I lived in Tacoma. I lived in Burien. I lived in Des Moines. I lived in that whole area.
Did you ever go to the Bumbershoot Festival?
Nope.
Oh, it's like 5 bands all underneath the Space Needle for like 3 days straight. My dad took me to it when I met him the first time.
My dad lives in Tacoma. I said my dad lives in Tacoma.
My dad actually lives in Gig Harbor, rich part of town.
I know Gig Harbor.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. It's very wealthy. He was building a home there. He was planning his home and decided where he wanted to build it at. He works for the county designing parks. He is an architectural landscaper.
Well, you see here, we just come back to humanity, didn't we?
Just a little bit talking, that's good.
When I was trying to explain to you about being overwhelmed, it's not a choice. It didn't used to happen this easily. I used to be able to take more than anyone, ever. But at this point, I've tried to explain it to literally hundreds of people who said that they were going to listen, that all ended up doing the same thing. And I can't handle it. I need someone to hear it. I mean, hearing the same thing out of everybody, having to start over fresh, because people really, when it comes down to it, they'll say that they want to. You're saying a lot of things that other people have said, Zach, but then, you know, when it came down to it...
I'm sure that there's nothing that is going to hamper me from helping you to the end.
Well, if you're sober, that's important. That's the 2 things that have prevented people from helping me is their sobriety and their children. Dallas,
I don't have the children part, but...
With Dallas, we agreed that his children come first.
I have a dog.
With your children will not be affected.
No.
They're not children, though.
They've got their own lives. They're basically adults. Cooper's 21 now. Can you believe it?
I do. Shit, all right, I remember when I was...
You remember him in diapers.
I do.
Or you should.
I remember Jenny pregnant.
Yeah, she was cute. Pregnant, I thought.
Yeah. Well, I've always had, like, a crush on pregnant people. I don't know why it is. I do. It's because my dad told me...
I have a little milk fetish.
Oh. My dad told me I needed to get a pretty wife, so I had someone to show off, and a fat girlfriend, so I could still have fun. And I have not actually been attracted to pretty people since. Now, with Jamie Curtis, that was a matter of her playing me and really pushing it hard. Like, I don't even need to go into that scenario. She did the same thing a little bit to a lot of other people in town, too.
Well, I was flirting with her one night drinking at Todd's house, and Jenny was there, and Todd got all butthurt and started bringing up shit from the past, childhood traumas. And then somebody spilled the drink. Well, he was just insulting me at first and stuff like that, normal bullshit.
It's a jealousy thing, because
to like throw your balls around like they're that tiny. And then somebody spilled the drink, and he told me, Zach, you clean that up right now. He said it jokingly, but it fucking triggered me and set me off. And I actually held him up against the wall by his throat that night. I did clean up the mess, and I wanted my keys, and I wanted to leave. He wouldn't give me my keys. Started walking back toward his bedroom. I grabbed him by the throat and threw him against the wall, lifted him up off the ground, just an inch or so. But it scared the shit out of him. All over that.
Well, ever since that day when he was yelling at Brittany about a situation out at the lake with that guy, you know, the things that he was yelling at her at the firecracker stand, that's a small town, and she was an underage girl. You definitely don't do that publicly. You don't call a 15 or 16-year-old girl a dumb whore repeatedly in front of the firecracker stand that you're supposed to be working for the church.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said Todd, he was good, but he wasn't. I'm glad he was there and supported my siblings and stuff like that, especially when Wanda was unable to or unwilling to. I don't know which it was.
Well, you know
but
Todd and you know Jamie.
He did wrong that he didn't need to.
You know Todd and you know Jamie. So when I explained to you the dynamics of when we rescued Jamie in that situation and how Todd let me take the abuse for things that he knew that James Payton had done. He knew that James had done that, and he knew that Jamie was covering for James. He knew that she was going back out with James. He stabbed me in the ass and stabbed me in the back and kicked me in the teeth because he's got this sick infatuation with Jamie. The only reason I ever gave Jamie a chance is because she was so persistent. Well, when it didn't happen, it didn't happen. Do what? She uses everybody. But the difference is, she could
have been partying with that young kids anyways.
That's right. And the things that people accuse me of doing, I didn't do. I was young enough at that point in time. I was 29, okay? Most of the people that were over there were at least 23 to 25. We were all adults, at least when I was over there. There was a few times when Coda came over, but he wasn't allowed to drink. But the situation with Todd and his dynamics with Jamie, you've been explaining exactly what I was going to explain to you. You're already aware of. And
I experienced,
right.
And witnessed when I was sober.
Well, just wait till you get to hear the stuff that they did. Just wait till you find out the stuff that they did, because that's the thing. I didn't speak out about people for no reason. These people in town are talking trash for a reason. There's a reason that they're pushing that mentally ill thing, and there's a reason they're pretending I'm schizophrenic, and that's the reason that I record everything. They're using that.
Whether you are or not doesn't matter.
The crimes against me are still illegal.
I don't care if you take your Napoleon Bonaparte, you still shouldn't be treated that way. You know what I mean? That's how I see it.
Well, I started trying to get help over a year before Natalie was killed. And I'm going to show you that while she was pretending I was stalking her, we were friends. It's after the fact that she pretended that I stalked her because her mom found her heroin and she was embarrassed. And I got my car stuck outside of her house. Now, Jamie Curtis can testify to what happened to that telephone, but she won't. On the bright side, I recorded her son, who was a witness to it, explaining what happened. He also talks about the abuse of James Payton, but the difference between him and Todd? Jamie's son spoke up. Todd didn't. Todd is an adult, whereas I have to hide what Zyler said.
He never had balls about to speak up.
I know.
He was with Rhonda for so long.
Because he's a carpet?
I mean, seriously, the first time he pissed me off, I fell asleep with my mom in her bed. You know, it wasn't weird or anything like that. And I wake up with him waking me up. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why are you waking me up? He's like, oh, you need to get up and get ready for school. I'm going to get your mom up. And I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. I said, I remember I left the room. I went and woke up Brittany. I got the 2 biggest cups of water I could find, or 2 biggest cups I could find, filled them with water, stood outside the door and waited, had Brittany hold the cup. When he opened that door, I threw the first one in his face. Said, this one's for telling me to get out of my mom's bed. And this one is for cheating on my dad with my mom. You know? And I threw them both in his face, and I didn't get in trouble at all. Like, he apologized to me. Well, I shouldn't have done that. I mean, and then I was in 4th grade. If a 4th grader would have done that to me, I would have beat his ass, whether his mom liked it or not. You know what I mean?
I'm going to tell you something also. Everybody that I've gone to for help, they all tell me all these violent stories, and you know, I try to listen and I try to pretend I'm okay with it, but it all gives me flashbacks, all of it. My childhood was horrible, and my life on the streets was horrible.
Mine wasn't that violent, except for the episodes with Mark. That was the only violence I experienced, which was plenty.
A lot of people, their idea is that I should go shoot people. That's what their suggestion is. And I said,
no, that's bullshit.
I said, I'm not willing to do that.
It's going to show more. Rising above is going to show more than anything else. Overcoming it. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense to you?
No, I had a point I was going to make, and I got stuck on that tangent, actually. Sorry I didn't lie to you about it, but that's what happened.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's all right. This time it was a little bit different situation. Besides that, everything that I had to walk a few miles to the library to charge everything up, and it's all almost dead. I'm stuck here in the Walmart parking lot.
You gotta remember that I like to say jokes, so like to break the tension. So
Me
maybe
too.
those people are right, and maybe I'm wrong. That's a joke.
I was known for being funny, and I was known for drawing pictures. That's what I was known for in Chapel. But you know what? Over half of the girls that you went to school with and that I went to school with, well, maybe not over half for you because you're a bit younger than me, but over half the girls that I went to high school with, I ended up rescuing at some point in Chapel. And almost half of the girls in my graduating class told me they lost their virginity either to their dad or their brother. Everybody tells everything to the wallflower because nobody's going to believe them.
That's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's almost like that nationwide. And that's why I believe that nudism is a very healthy practice. Proper nudism. Because I don't get turned on by seeing a naked woman. I get turned on by them mentally.
And see,
and that's the way it should be.
That's how it is for me. I'm not attracted to a human being except by what their brain holds.
Exactly. And
although sometimes I see trinkets.
Bimbo blonde in the back of a car. I've never been able to do that. I have to get to know them, and there has to be some kind of connection, attraction, like that. We could be naked as the day. I am a natural nudist. I was growing up, like when I lived with my grandparents, toddler age, until I had to go to school and moved out. So nudism is nothing to me. My grandparents didn't practice it, but I was allowed to because, yeah, I don't know.
Hey, you know what I did with all my guns? Years and years and years ago, people gave me some guns, and I gave them all back when I went homeless, years ago. Now, there was some people in town that wanted me to work on their firearms after Natalie died, and they never paid me. So guess where those firearms are? I chopped them into little pieces.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That way they can't pull something on you.
Well, I made sure that it was demilled according to BATF regulations. I don't want a firearm. I'm not interested in a gun. People have tried giving me guns.
After my divorce, I sold them to Jenny because I was too afraid of me having them, just for the fact that I might do something stupid to myself.
Well, just so you know, there's nothing in that house you can do something stupid with yourself unless you know how to make a receiver. If you go up into your room, that's where I put the parts that I left over, because people pay good money if you can fix their gun and if you have the parts. But without the receiver, it's not illegal. Well, don't tell me that. If you make them function, I don't want to hear about it.
Well, I don't even look. I mean, this is Dallas's house, so I'm not going to go through his stuff.
It's in the room with all of your stuff in it.
I got that stuff out, I think.
Oh, well, did you grab my DeWalt stuff and my toolbox? Because those I need.
No, I don't think I took anything that wasn't mine. I think Jenny took stuff that was mine and brought it to me because I couldn't.
Well, there's a toolbox and a DeWalt box that I need.
I mean, I'm just finally starting to live again. Like, my uncle died this December too, when I was with that chick that was using me. And my plan was, I built a trailer from Harbor Freight, and I had it all packed and ready. And I was going to move to Tennessee, where my uncle lived, and start over. And the son of a bitch died of blood poisoning because he didn't take care of his diabetes. And if I would have been there, I would have taken him to the hospital, even if he would have fucking refused. But kept refusing his wife, and she kept listening, and he fucking died of blood poisoning beginning in December.
Everybody's dying on
my
us.
My brother and sister, I have nobody left my family, literally.
I'm not going to tell you about all the people I've lost. I don't think it's right. But, Zach...
I'm not bragging. I'm just saying.
I know you're not. You're telling me about your trauma.
I was in a bad place. I'm just now starting to come out of it.
And Dallas is in a bad place, too. And when he comes out of it, when he's ready, I'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
Dallas...
we'll talk about ideas.
Dallas is obnoxiously wonderful. The problem is that, you know, with his depression, at least he's got the video games to take his mind off of it.
Well, not only that, but he's got me here now giving him shit all the time. So
oh, absolutely. You know, he told me I'm probably the only reason he didn't shoot himself in the head. I probably shouldn't have said that.
Because I would have been pissed at him. I would have come here and beat the shit out of him, even though he was dead.
Well, I understand Dallas's reasons. I also, the situations that involved DaCosta and also involved how scary a situation it was for me. You know, that stuff is going to come out in court, but it's not getting posted on the internet. And the only reason for it is because it was a severe safety issue. There's also the fact that it was long enough ago that it's not like they can get in trouble for anything, and they wouldn't have gotten in any trouble for anything back then anyway. It's the fact of the matter that the situation was how I said it was. The parts that were scary, and I wasn't running around doing harmful stuff. If I was going to threaten somebody, you'd think that I'd threaten Harley, you know? You'd think that I would threaten, you know, somebody like that. But the thing is, I didn't. And if you listen to those videos about Rod...
I know I wouldn't threaten somebody. I would probably just act without... with not enough... Well, I probably would think it through, knowing me. I have these, 12 thoughts to it through my mind all the time, even with medication.
Yeah, you might be autistic.
No, I'm...
high functioning.
bipolar.
Well, see, that's the thing. Bipolar does not necessarily mean that you're not. I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was younger, and then they took away that diagnosis. They said, you're not bipolar, not even close. But that was one of the things that Scott DeCosta...
This lady I
Go ahead.
just started with, she thought maybe I was ADHD at first. And when I told her more of my history and stuff like that, then she's like, okay. And now it is making sense.
Well, I hold multiple thoughts at a time. I think about multiple things at a time. That's a wonderful gift. It's not a problem with your brain. That is a superior intellect. I don't know anybody other than myself who has that going on. I had to organize my brain.
The thing that agonizes me the most is when I ask somebody, hey, what are you thinking? Nothing. Fuck, you're not thinking anything. You're thinking about breathing. You're thinking about what you ate. You're thinking about what you're eating. When you're going to bed. You know, and you're thinking about 20 things at once. I don't care who the fuck you are.
They might just be thinking about stuff they don't want to share with you, or they don't want to burden you with, or they don't think it's anybody's business.
And see, that's why I kind of like, go from serious to making jokes. I have to. And that's just from my past history of having to lighten the mood and drop the tension.
Oh my God. So, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh.
But
I took a drink, it went down the wrong pipe, and now it feels like I'm having a heart attack. Oh my God.
Oh, I hate that bubble.
Yeah.
Tap your chest and sit up straight.
Oh, I made it go away.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I fucking hate those. It's almost as bad as swallowing a chip wrong.
When you're talking about contacting the media, that's exactly what needed to happen. People were telling me they were doing stuff, but none of them ever provided any proof. It was just entertainment for them.
The best way to go get to the media is going to be getting a hold of either autistic community, which I'm not sure what their acronym is, or mental health community, and going from there. They'll have publicists and stuff like that, promoters, who will actually help handle most of that.
Do you have a job? I know that's not my business. No?
Nope.
Could you make the calls that I need to make with me, even if it's a few a day?
Yeah, as long as, depending on who they are, just know I'm uncomfortable calling people, just like I am meeting new people.
Well, so am I, but that's the problem, is that I've had to quote-unquote man up and call these places solo, and that's the number one thing they tell you not to do. Never talk to them by yourself. Always record it.
If I think of it like a job, I can do it, especially if it's like groups like that.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to move back somewhere near. I honestly, I like it here in Oregon. The forest that you're talking about, I lived in Washington State. I'm also in Oregon. It's not any different.
Yeah.
Well, all right, it is different. The people here in Hood River are absolutely amazing. They're awesome people.
Yeah, they're really different lives, some of them down there. Gig Harbor was so laid back, like it was literally a sleepy little sailor's town. I mean, there's no actual commerce. It was like a yacht club.
Yep. Well, this isn't quite that.
And everybody was relaxed.
But what I want to do is go off in the woods and have my own place off in the woods eventually. But the thing is, you can actually get paid for helping me. That's the thing about, all right. I'm
not so much worried about like that. I think that you do deserve fair compensation for what you've been through.
Let me explain it like this. My autism advocate does not get paid for it. She's a volunteer. That's why she can't do the job of being an advocate. The other people who are supposed to advocate for me, that's Penny Cooper, who is supposed to be my caseworker, and Marcia Estrada. Well, Marcia Estrada kept on telling Penny Cooper that she needed to do things, and Penny Cooper didn't do those things. She wasn't doing.
She's getting paid by the state or something, isn't she?
Exactly.
So she is getting paid.
She was getting paid. I'm not saying she wasn't getting paid. I'm saying she wasn't doing her job. She wasn't doing what she was getting paid to do. She was not getting paid
if she got
to
back
do
to
her.
you and they said no, they can't help you.
No, she has to go in with me.
Didn't even do that.
Because I'm an at-risk adult, she has to go in with me to these things. It's very specific about it. But if I'm working, all right, for example, if I'm working with more than one therapist, then the Medicare, which is what they're, basically doing this for, the Medicare won't cover it. The funding that they get only fits certain criteria and qualifications. So if I have a different therapist than them, they want me to get rid of a different therapist because the state won't pay them if I'm seeing another therapist. The reason they didn't want me to go get a second opinion, which I went and got anyway, is because they didn't want to get dropped, from their payment plan. They get paid for seeing me. The problem is that Penny was riding the clock. That's what she was doing. She knew that the housing thing was a dead horse, and I'd explained to her that it's a dead horse and that I need help stopping the abuse and she needs to look at that. She wouldn't, and she was supposed to. And Marcia Estrada and I spoke about that on several occasions. It is recorded.
Mm-hmm. And see, I think it'd be a good idea if you could be in Colorado, in a small area that's still close to Chapel, for the simple fact that Colorado has better health services.
I know, but I can't go to Colorado for the same reason I can't go to Nebraska. Natalie was killed in Colorado in Denver News, and I lived in Boulder. Like, moving to Colorado is a good idea if there's a support network there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like Julesburg away from me or Ovid away from me, something like that.
The moment I step into the state of Colorado, they will arrest me for bogus charges. I told you they've done this repeatedly. They were allowed to do it because it was just me. The best way to do this is preventative measures, prevent it from happening to begin with, and I tried explaining that to everybody. Then later on, they wanted to try cleanup, and cleanup doesn't work.
Before anything even happens would be a good idea.
Well, could you fill them out on my behalf? Yeah. I know you're legally allowed to.
I'll have to get a printer. That'll probably take me a couple weeks.
That's right. I brought my printer with me.
Yeah, and I gave mine away to Jenny.
I paid literally thousands of dollars for people to help me. I paid my sister and her friend Ed $1,800, $1,900 overall, and you know what ended up happening? Ed wiped an entire computer. They spent the entire day fucking around.
I don't know. I think more for me, it's that if I can actually help somebody and have the ability to, that is more rewarding to me than any money factor.
Well, honestly, as soon as you start seeing...
It gives me something to do other than sitting around watching stupid shit all day or reading about useless information.
As soon as you start seeing what I've been through, you'll want to speak out. And that's the thing about my case. The reason that I have a YouTube channel is so that other people can speak out too. And so that I can try to actually do something to change it. It's about trying to show the truth and trying to get people to actually see it. And I know that they're not going to if I say it and if all that. But other people who are better at communicating under, like me, I'm having the communication skills because of stress. I wasn't like this before the whole situation with Natalie. I wasn't like this before I hurt my back, I should say. Because when I hurt my back...
You weren't much of a public speaker, though.
I wasn't.
Or a group speaker.
Well, you should have seen me in Boulder.
Pretty quiet.
In Boulder, I was in my element. You know, I was quiet in Chapel because people were mean. I just tried to avoid everybody. The whole town was run on opinions, and people kept on assaulting me and threatening me over shit that my siblings did. Like they couldn't tell the difference between us. Michael's got big old Dumbo ears. I got a big old friggin' beak. It's pretty easy to tell the difference between me and Michael. It's pretty easy to tell the difference between me and Eric.
Yeah. I barely remember him, but yeah, he didn't look anything like you that I can recall.
Yep. When I moved to Chapel, people didn't give me a chance, and there were maybe a handful of people in the high school that were actual friends of mine, and after high school, it was either they turned into druggies or we got into arguments over whether or not it was okay for cops to treat homeless people that way. Their excuse was, well, homeless people are a bunch of junkies. No, they're not.
No.
I know more
Most of them
junkies
are
in
mentally
houses.
ill or have other issues.
Sometimes they've just been abused to the point that they're homeless. Sometimes they get dropped off at 18 with absolutely nothing because they were in the system like I was.
I know it sounds weird, but I've always wanted to go panhandling and just to feel what it feels like having to suck up your pride and the humiliation, and I would like to experience that. I know it probably sounds weird.
I got videos of me panhandling. I finally broke down and did it, but I went years without panhandling.
I've wanted to do it just so that I know what it was like. I mean, I know my grandma was forced to do it by her drunken dad. Her dad was a sharecropper. She had to pick cotton for that, when she was growing up. They were poorer than the black people in Arkansas.
Yeah, during the Civil War, less than 1% of Southerners owned slaves, but they owned 4 million of them. Most of the soldiers who fought
picking up your humility and stuff like that would teach you a valuable lesson, I would think. It's not the money factor, it's the humiliation factor.
Well, it's probably a good time for me to let you go, but tomorrow is Sunday, so there's probably not going to be a lot of calls, but I would like to call you after I charge up everything and give you a...
Oh yeah, call me whatever. If I'm busy, I'll let you know. But I doubt I'll be.
Yes, sir. Tonight I'm going to spam you a bunch of stuff so that you know I'm not schizophrenic.
Okay.
All right. Night, Zach.
Yep, you have a good night, man. Take it easy.
You too, will do. I'm trying. You too.
Bye.
Bye. All right. It told me that Riley Johnson is online. I don't know why that is, because I'm pretty sure he's not on my friends list. Alright, so this has got to be my last video for the night. I'm down to 14% battery.